Hello and welcome to Let's Talk Sport on YouTube for our final whistle show, and we've got a great one this week. We took a weekend off, maybe because, well, why not? Anyway, actually, so of course we've got our usual Joe Stanley, Sebastian True, and Jack Price, but we have Dan Middleton back. If any of you remember from our Callan FM days, Dan was host of this show, and my God, it was the highlight of our week doing Final Whistle show on Callan FM. Dan Middleton, how are you, my friend?
Yeah, very good. Good to be back. Good to see the usual bunch, and a pleasure to meet Seb. Not actually met him yet, so yeah, good to be back. And let's crack on with the show.
Absolutely. Of course, Dan, you're now working for William Hill, am I right?
You'd be correct, yeah.
How is he?
I mean, he's sound. Yeah, he's getting on right. No, everything's good in the hood. I'm enjoying it. So yeah, just getting on with things, and I'm just glad that football and sport in general is still going ahead after what's been a pretty poor 2020 and a not so great start to 2021.
Absolutely. I mean, of course, there's been a lot of football still going on, which is quite incredible. But of course, we've got two games going on right now. We've got Sebastian True keeping an eye on Napoli versus Juventus, which is around about half an hour in so far. Seb, what's it looking like in that game?
Looking quite good. Both sides showing decent intent, and I'm surprised. Well, they haven't been really big chances yet, but I'm sure that'll come. So this is the first time these two teams are meeting this season because their first game was cancelled with the COVID outbreak Napoli had. So been looking forward to this one, and now it's time for Gattuso to save his job.
And of course, Joe is just about to watch the Spurs versus Manchester City game, which, Joe, if there's any hope of maybe City not winning the league, I think everyone, well, especially United and Leicester, we could do with Spurs getting something from this game.
Yeah, we're about 1.5 minutes in, actually, Jamie.
That's how far behind I am.
City controlling the play. They're definitely the likes of Leicester and United who want to win the title, because as of today, I think Liverpool are out of the title race.
Oh dear.
That's me actually admitting it for once.
What?
Yeah, you need Tottenham to get something out of the game, which in the opening stages it's been all Manchester City, so it's not looking good for you.
We've got a penalty to Napoli.
Oh, a penalty to...
and it's Chiellini who gives it away. So basically, I can't see who the Napoli player is on the receiving end, but Chiellini from across whacks his arm out and catches the Napoli player in the face. I can't really see who it is. The Napoli player is it Di Lorenzo, maybe? I can't see properly, but it went to VAR, and the referee's given a penalty to Napoli, and, well, Chiellini is protesting as he would.
Jack Price is here as well. He's got a beard, folks. In case you're wondering, this is for how many days it's been since Lampard got sacked. Now, he is going to keep the beard until he comes back. Jack, do you think that's coming anytime soon? How do you feel?
Oh, I'll be like one of them Eskimos in the in the South Pole, I think, by the time that happens. It's a good job I haven't shaved what's going on in the house, to be honest, but it's doing nice to keep me warm.
How's your mum coped with the news? Because I think she was a Lampard fan as well, wasn't she?
Yeah, well, we're still sort of getting over it, you know. Yeah, I mean, this bloke's okay, but it's not the same, is it?
No, but my charity...
I'm going to call him this bloke. He'll only be here 6 months, and then he'll be gone again. We'll have a new bloke in again.
There are football counsellors out there, Jack, if you need the advice. Anyway, of course, so those are the two games going on right now. So throughout, we'll have
so it's
Seb
1-0.
Keeping an eye. Oh, sorry. Yes,
so it's 1-0. Insigne has converted the penalty. Good penalty that he converted. So now I see that it was actually on Romari that he conceded the foul, Chiellini. Insigne, really good penalty. The goalkeeper goes the wrong way, but really good penalty. And I just like that he's lifted up his shirt. He really didn't show the camera the message on it. It took a while for the players to get away, and it's written, "Happy Valentine's Day, my dear." And it's so cheesy. And that itself deserves 2 yellow cards.
Probably for its dog. Anyway, so of course, Man City 0, Spurs 0 in the other game. But let's go through the results of today's games, and
please don't.
I think we've got to.
That's what Dan's here for, Joe.
That's what Dan's here for.
I just timed it right today, lads. You know what I mean? I turned up and thought this is going to be the day, and lo and behold,
brilliant.
There we go.
It's exactly why I delayed it. delayed your arrival,
You're a good man.
Dan.
You're a good man.
So, of course, let's start off with the early kickoff game. Leicester City 3, Liverpool 1 at the King Power, and Leicester felt like kings after that one, beating the champions of England. It was a good start for Liverpool in terms of in the second half, with Salah finding the net, and Salah, as he has done throughout the season, has scored even when they haven't won games. He has been able to find the net yet again. But then it was 11 minutes later, Maddison with a free kick, and what a player he is at the moment. What a season James Maddison is having. And who else would have scored for Leicester? Of course, it was Jamie Vardy, who scored from a big Alisson mistake. And that's a third mistake in the last 2 games now for Alisson. So that is worrying times for their back line. And Ashley Barnes, what a play he's been as well for Leicester up front. He scored just 5 minutes before the full-time whistle. Dan, let's start off with you. I mean, Leicester City, I think that was definitely a statement to just basically tell people top 3 is a definite thing for Leicester this season. Champions League football is coming home at this rate.
I mean, we're quite happy to keep breaking the narrative of all the big media channels going, oh yeah, it's Man City, Liverpool, Man United, it's going to affect all them. But oh no, forgetting that Leicester are still sitting in third and, we're still doing our thing, second and this, that and the other. We'll happily keep going under the radar. I mean, I've said it time and time again, not just on Let's Talk Sport, but obviously elsewhere, that we are a team that is playing well. We've got a good manager. We've got everything we need to be successful. We're doing what we need to do. And people still don't give us the respect we deserve. And it's been happening since the moment we won the Premier League. They still don't respect Leicester City as a club, as a top 4 club, as a top 6 club, whatever it might be.
Yeah.
And yet we'll just keep going under the radar because everything about today's game was focused on Liverpool. And I'm guessing Joe will probably back me up on this. Every media outlet was Liverpool this. Oh no, Liverpool haven't got centre-halves. Liverpool negativity. Liverpool. And yet, not mentioning the fact that we've got four defenders out ourselves, Dennis Pratt out as well. We've been struggling with injuries. It's not Leeds, for example. Again, they've had 3 of their 4 signings out.
Yeah.
No one's mentioned it. So, yeah, it's frustrating the narrative, but we're quite happy to break it up. I mean, for 75 minutes of the game today, I thought Liverpool were much a better team. I don't think we showed any real sort of attacking impetus until we got our goal. Admittedly, there were a couple of times that Vardy got in behind, but they were very much half chances or less. And Liverpool probably deserved, to get something out of the game, definitely for me. But at the end of the day, you can't make the mistakes that Liverpool did defensively, especially Alisson. I mean, I don't know what's up with him at the minute, whether it's a lack of confidence or a new centre-half in front of him, but it just didn't click for whatever reason. And we took full advantage, and it's what we do. We wait for teams to make the mistakes, and we capitalise upon those mistakes, and that's our trademark. So at the end of the day, we get the 3 points, we move on to the next game, and it's a big scalp for us. But in reality, it's not a big scalp because we're there by merit. And if anything, it's coming to Leicester to take the points back to Liverpool. And it never happened, but that's the way it should have been. And very, very happy with the result. The performance could probably be improved a little bit going forward, but I can't really complain too much because we got 3 points.
I think this is the thing, though, Dan. Like Leicester have been so consistent under Brendan Rodgers. I spoke to you about this the other day, where people forget Leicester were pretty much in the Champions League spots up until the final day of the season. And I think people have just suddenly forgotten and kept quiet on Leicester, which it does frustrate me as well, because Leicester are in just as much of a title race as United are. And instead it's United that gets all the publicity, and Leicester are pretty much in the same position as United, which I think many would say now City should win the title with the position they're in and the games in hand they've got. But yeah, it's one of those seasons where, again, Brendan Rodgers has done an absolute terrific job, and I think for him to do it again with this team, he's a genius for me. I think he did well at Celtic, he did well at Liverpool, even though he didn't win the title. He's close to winning the title, and he was great at Swansea, which it's a good reminder of what Brendan Rodgers can do when you give him a squad.
The best thing that he could inherit from Leicester City was the youth and the talent that we've got across the team.
Yeah.
He's good with young players, and he's shown it at previous clubs. He has a knack for it. Now we've got the new training facilities that we've moved into that are absolutely fantastic. The development,
it's amazing.
Yeah, it's amazing, and the development of the young players is going to come on leaps and bounds to what it could have been at Beaver Drive, our old training ground. So everything is there in place for Brendan to be successful with this team. And at the minute, we're on track to either take the Premier League or to have a really good run in the FA Cup. So again, we're in a position where we're happy. We're content with where we are at the minute, but there's definitely room for improvement, and we've got a few months now to kick on and keep picking up points and keep going under the radar and see where we're at come the end of the season.
Absolutely. Ashen's just tuned in and says, hello, guys. Hello, Ashen. Hope you're well. Our season ticket holder at Let's Talk Sport. I'll send you that season ticket. I will. Joe, let's go with you because, another defeat for Liverpool. This has to be the worst form Klopp has ever been as Liverpool manager, especially in the last few years where you've won the Champions League and the Premier League in the last 2 seasons. But what's happened? Because I know there's been injuries and such, but they really do not know how to win a game at the moment.
It's probably not the worst run of form. I think our worst run of form was during the 15-16 season, which is his first season in charge. But yeah, it's not been great. It's probably second worst amount of form this season. This is in his reign. I mean, I don't know what's happened. To be honest, it's since December, really mid-December here, just after Christmas, the forms just fell off a cliff. And we could keep using the narrative of injuries all we want, but why we didn't buy a centre-back earlier on in January, I don't know. Well, I do know. It's down to the owners, but let's not go there because I'll end up ranting for the rest of the show on that one.
What's your problem with the owners, though?
I don't dislike them. You know what I mean? I want what's best for Liverpool Football Club. So I'm one of these. I'm not FSG in. I'm not FSG out. I'm just one of these that wants the best for the football club. But the thing with the owners, and I know there's the financial aspect, and Seb's touched on this before, with you can't always just spend money for the sake of it. But when you're defending champions, you should be, and you need a defender. You've known since Van Dijk was out in October. Then Gomez got injured a couple of weeks afterwards, and Matip is made of glass. He's constantly in and out the side of injury, and let's be honest. And you're having to play 2 central midfielders at centre back. There's a major issue there, and Jurgen Klopp asked the owners early on in the window to give in funds for centre back, and they said no.
Why is Klopp free of any sort of criticism whatsoever?
I'm going to get onto Klopp in a minute.
Okay.
Because some of his decisions have been poor. So City went in there, looked like they were going to score, but it was clear out the way.
Ask Brendan for Colo Torre for 6 months.
I think some of his tactical decisions don't make sense. It's like last week, Curtis Jones was probably our best midfielder against Manchester City, and he pulls him off with 25-30 minutes to go. And I think he brought on, was it Shaqiri? I think it was off the top of my head. It just doesn't make sense some of the changes, when I would have pulled off Wijnaldum personally, especially when the lad doesn't seem to be doing anything in the middle of the park anymore, and he's got 4 months left on his contract and seems disinterested. It's like the other week, bringing on Divock Origi against Manchester United when you're desperate for a goal. Origi literally just static and walks about, and I've had it on good authority that his attitude is just as bad off the pitch as on the pitch.
He's a big-time player, Divock Origi. He's got a knack for scoring goals in big games.
That was 2 seasons ago, unfortunately.
That's still there in history.
But so at the time, and the moment you bring him on against, like in a Champions League game, he'll go and notch a brace.
So can I just?
It's really poor players. It's really good. I don't know how to describe him. It's so strange. He's an asset you have to have, but also don't need.
Oh.
Is Kane gone down with an ankle injury there?
No, he's just hit a free kick and rattled the crossbar.
Okay. Can I just make a point about Leicester Liverpool? Do you remember the last time Leicester actually beat Liverpool was about 3 or 4 years ago? They won 3-1. Vardy scored that day, and do you know where Liverpool ended up that season? They ended the season 4th. So maybe it's all written in the stars that they end 4th this season. I don't know. I'm just making wild assumptions. But then, as a friend was saying to me today, I think with the way the Liverpool players that they've got right now, what they'd probably have to do is play a 4-4-2, Thiago and Wijnaldum in the centre midfield, maybe put Jones out wide and someone else, then have Salah and Firmino up front, a real focal point, because the system's clearly not working. So they need to change something soon, and Klopp's still persist with his 4-3-3 that I think is completely disjointed with the players that he's got at the moment, especially the ones that he's putting in defence. I don't know. I just think he's getting it wrong at the moment, Klopp, and maybe they need more defenders. I wouldn't argue against that, but it's not just that simple because the defenders that they would have wanted are going to cost a premium.
And today, I will put forward today the tactics that Jurgen Klopp had. I thought were bang on because for 75 minutes of that game, Liverpool outplayed Leicester, and that's a reality. That's how it worked. We weren't at the races. Salah, Mane, Firmino were tearing us a new one. Alexander-Arnold, Robertson were getting forward, and you had a balance for 75 minutes of the game. And then it all capitulated the moment we got a goal back. It's like your head dropped. It was like watching Sunday League.
Can I also come in with a little stat? Oh, sorry, Dan.
I think the tactics for me at the minute for Klopp are working. I just think he could probably do with an attacking midfielder. I don't think he's got an out-and-out number 10. I think because he's got Thiago in there, who's similar to Wijnaldum in terms of position, who's then similar to Curtis Jones in terms of position. You've not really got a focal point between your number 9 or your false 9 and your centre mids. So what you're effectively doing is trying to play long balls out wide, which to an extent works, but you've got nothing through the middle. So the moment we pick the ball up, we'll just pick you off because your fullbacks have gone.
Sorry, I've interrupted there.
No, that's how it worked today. Like, because you have Liverpool's fullbacks just bomb on. You've got nothing in the middle. So the moment Ndidi and Tillman's pick the ball up, one long ball, 2v2.
But that's where I think Curtis Jones comes in. I think Curtis Jones could be that ball-carrying midfielder or that higher position midfielder. I think he's so great when he's on the ball that he can just go from A to B on the pitch. He's really good at that. That's why I'd like to see him maybe out wide or in a more advanced position. But I think Thiago and Wijnaldum would be more comfortable as two sitting midfielders in just as both of them, and then putting Jones as someone who's a bit more offensive. Just bring more attacking impetus to Liverpool because Salah and Mane are not getting the balls that they usually do. I didn't see today's game, so I can't really judge on that, but they're not getting as much service as they are used to getting. And also, to bring up another point, everyone knows I love to go on about Trent's stats. So today he lost possession 45 times, which is enormous. And he tried 11 crosses, completed 1. There's something's got to be addressed there, surely. I know Williams hasn't been impressive when he's played at right back, but I think at some point Klopp's got to think, okay, Trent maybe needs a week or two on the side.
Interesting one. Jack, we haven't heard from you yet. For Leicester, a great win for them, but for Liverpool, could they miss out of Champions League football this season? Could that happen?
I mean, it's a confidence issue, isn't it? To be honest, I mean, like Dan mentioned, I only watched the highlights, but from everything I read, it was like Dan said, Leicester, were sort of outplayed for the majority of the game, and as soon as Leicester scored, it was like watching them against City again, where they just sort of fell apart, and like the goals just kept coming, like silly situations as well. I mean, like I said, the second goal, I'm not sure. He just looked like he wanted to just take out his teammate, not go for the ball. It was like watching a wrestling move or something. Yeah, so for me, it just looks like a confidence issue. And obviously, teams go through it throughout the stages of the season anyway. All teams do it. We've obviously had ours, hopefully already, and obviously that resulted in the sacking of Lampard. But Liverpool are having theirs now, and it's an extreme one. And I think, like Dan said, where Liverpool are the ones that are in the headlines at the moment. It's simply because they're the champions, and obviously it was the first time they've won it, the Premier League last year. So again, that mounts the pressure on, and it just seems to be that everything revolves around Liverpool in terms of the storylines at the minute. So although Leicester won today, it will be in the headlines Liverpool lose, and that's simply because of the fact that they won last year and it's the first time, and the pressure is there. The pressure is there on Klopp to continue that form, and anytime you have a bit of a blip, it just amplifies the news outlets, and they just start going on it and everything that's going on. I keep seeing Van Dijk trending. It's like, for Christ's sake, we know he's been injured since October. don't keep using that as like an excuse.
He's dead, isn't
he? Yeah, well, don't use this as an excuse why Liverpool are bad at defending. They've had all that time, and I agree with Joe with the sense that as a board, as a team, as a management, you need to fill that situation. And yes, it might cost money in January, but if it's something you desperately need, you have to sort of invest in that. Obviously, finishing top, you do get a higher amount of finance last season, so you will have the money to invest. It's just whether you want to do that or you go into youth. And didn't they bring somebody like a youngster in? Was it last minute?
From Preston.
No, he's 20. He's 25. So.
Is he?
Yeah, we
But-
bought Ben
but-
Davies in for
but-
500,000 up front, rising to 2 million depending on performance add-ons. So yeah, big fee that.
But then we talk about.
I'm guessing there's performance add-ons for when he plays in under 21s and under 23s.
You'd hope so.
'Cause he's not got near the team yet, has he? Let's be honest. So what's the point in buying him?
He'll start against Leipzig. He'll start against Leipzig in that one, won't he? And then there's also the fact that you mentioned Van Dijk and Gomez, and they should have bought a centre-back. Agreed. But when they conceded 7 against Aston Villa, they had their starting centre-backs. They had their starting back 4. And
Oh, yeah.
so but the excuses can keep coming. The excuses can keep coming. But performances have been poor from the likes of Alisson. Van Dijk has been poor when he's played. It's been a collective downfall, let's just say. I'm not convinced that it's just because they've got so many injuries. I think there's a lot more going on.
Well, I think there is as well. You can look at, I think we mentioned this a couple of weeks ago as well, the fact that Jurgen just seems to be against everybody in the minute in terms of his post or pre-match news conferences. He seems to be moaning about everything. And obviously we've mentioned that recently as well.
He's given a penalty.
Oh, who's this? What's this, Joe?
There's a penalty. I was trying to see whether he actually had given the penalty or not, because Gundogan went down under a challenge from Højbjerg. And I thought he'd given the corner at first, so that's why I didn't react. And then I've just seen the Spurs players surrounding the referee. And it's definitely a penalty. Gundogan's gone to play a ball across the box left-footed, and Højbjerg's coming from behind, just taking his legs from underneath him.
Give me a second, Joe. I'll be there in a minute.
I'm intrigued to see whether because in the week Guardiola said Ederson will be his penalty taker. So if Ederson's going to take it, this is going to be brilliant.
People who got him in the fantasy team are like, this is a good moment.
I'll tell you what, Joe, keep us up to date on that. Let us know who takes it. But Jack, you were saying, what was it you were finishing up with?
Oh, yeah, I was just going on the fact that obviously we know there's something deep-rooted at the club for this season in terms of Liverpool. Simply because everybody just looks, I don't know, they just look different, obviously, to last year. Last year was such a confidence. It was like they were just free-flowing. It was just, they were just banging in goals. And this year it's completely different. We saw that game against Villa earlier on in the season. Yes, okay, they've lost injuries and some vital ones as well. But, you know, it is basically a confidence issue. Like I said, as soon as them goals started going in for Leicester, they just dropped like they did against City last week. So it's obviously something that they need to address. But I think it could be a possibility where they finish outside the top 4. But I think ultimately for Klopp, that is where their target is now, which obviously is a shame for most Liverpool fans. But I think for everybody else, it's quite a nice feeling.
So what?
Can I just say that?
Go on, Joe.
I think Liverpool weren't clinical enough today. The front three have been so clinical down the years, but today they weren't clinical enough going forward. And then obviously it's cost us when we fell asleep. And 1-0 to Manchester City.
Who took the penalty?
It was Rodrigo in the end.
They were looking at
just
Ederson.
walked down the pitch. He got into the half, and then Bernardo Silva tells him to go and do one back to your own goal. Literally tells him to, and he's hit it hard and low. Rodrigo, Davies has got a hand to it, but he can only palm it into the roof of the net. So it's Manchester City 1, Tottenham 0.
I still get my points for having Gundogan as my captain.
Yes, I think I do as well. Hang on, let me check.
I didn't think you were even trying anymore, Jack. I'm certainly not.
Oh, he does. He just pretends he's not trying. I see those transfers. He puts them on the bench and then misses out big time.
I bench boost this week. I'm desperate. Yeah, okay,
I've not touched my fantasy footy since I think September, October time. So
we see you've dropped like a stone, Joe.
I think Gregorian texted me the other day saying that I was like second bottom. I said, I'm just conducting an experiment now.
Well, no one could get lower than Adam Davis. I mean, that team that he chose, it was always going to finish last.
Brilliant. Anyway, before we wrap up this, I'm going to ask everyone very quickly. Dan, starting off with you, will Liverpool miss out on Champions League football?
No.
No.
They're too good not to. As much as we slate the front three to an extent and the attacking options and obviously their defensive issues, it's not like they won't get those defenders back. They're too strong a team. They're too strong a team to not be in the top 4. And we look at Spurs, for example, the way they're playing at the minute, it's tough to see them getting into the top 4. City are probably going to run away with it, so they're guaranteed.
What about us, Dan? What about us?
You haven't got.
Yeah, Chelsea are right behind Liverpool.
You haven't got a cat and else chance.
No, I agree.
I just think there's a spot there, and I just think Liverpool are that good. When they click, Liverpool are probably the best team in the league when they click. So I can't see them not being in the top four.
So-
They won't finish above fourth though.
Who's your top four then? If you do you still have Leicester in your top four by the end of the season?
100%. We'll be in the top four.
United and City.
Yeah.
So that's the top four now. Is your top four? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I think I might have to agree.
We probably finish second. United in third. Liverpool fourth.
Oh, come on, we're gonna win it. Anyway.
I think Liverpool will miss out on fourth.
Oh, so Seb, I was just going to ask you. So you
I think so. Yeah, I think Chelsea will. I think Chelsea will tip them. I think Everton might even finish above Liverpool.
Really?
Yeah. I think they will.
He's trolling. He's trolling.
No, I think they might. I think they might. I genuinely do.
Arteta
Joe, I'll get yours in a minute, but let's ask Jack.
I think Liverpool probably finish fourth. I think they need to go back to
14th. Oh, sorry, 4th.
14th. Well, yeah, it could be. Newcastle just pip them.
Why is that funnier than it should be?
I think they need to go back to basics, and they need to make sure they do the basics right, because obviously it's just a confidence issue. It's not working in the minute. But I personally think if they get back to where they could be, like Dan said, they should at least finish top four. As much as a Chelsea fan, I'd like to think we get somewhere. We took too big of a sort of dip in the middle of the season, so we might get to that area, but I doubt we'll get in the top four.
I'm going to go and say Liverpool will finish 5th and Chelsea will get 4th.
Oh, I love you.
I know. It's Valentine's tomorrow, baby. But no, I just have this feeling that Chelsea with Tuchel in charge at the moment might just improve the team he's got around them and just do enough to get Champions League football, which would be pretty brilliant from Tuchel. But Liverpool, I agree with Dan as well. They could be the best team when they need to be in the league. That is for sure. But currently Chelsea are 1 point behind Liverpool with a game in hand. So if Chelsea do win, they will go 4th. So Liverpool would then be outside the Champions League spots. West Ham United are up there. We're still waiting for them to go down a little bit. Come on, David Moyes, you must be on high cocaine or something. I don't know how that's working. Everton 7th, Tottenham 8th at the moment, and Tottenham slowly going down, and Arsenal in the bottom half, love it, with 31 points. Anyway, let's go back to the results then and just go through the others. So Crystal Palace 0, Burnley 3. Now this is Burnley. They've got some goals in them at the moment. It seems Goodmanson scored. Rodriguez 5 minutes after Goodmanson opened the scoring. So literally 10 minutes in, Burnley were already 2-0 up at Palace. And then Lowton in the second half with a 47th minute goal. So, Dan, Burnley, again, Sean Dyche's just doing it, isn't he? Where they're always just going to be at the bottom half maybe, but they just get the results when it matters, and they're no doubt going to stay up again.
That was just the shithouse derby today, wasn't it? Really? It's just two teams that are so bang average it hurts, and one of them's got to come out on top. Palace without Zaha is a bottom 3 side.
Yeah.
Let's be real about it, because they're not good enough. The players that they've got aren't good enough and are not performing. Roy Hodgson's, I don't think, got long left.
No.
At Palace, I cannot see Palace having another season with mediocrity. There comes a point where Zaha's going to want to move on, and he's wanted to move on for a couple of years. Every summer he's been rumoured to go somewhere, Arsenal or wherever. There's going to become a time where Zaha leaves, so you've lost your best player that you've probably had in years. You've never replaced. You won't replace somebody like him. Benteke again, below average. Ayew below average.
Oh, it's so bad, Benteke.
Don't forget Batshuayi.
Batshuayi below average. Schlupp below average. So the list goes on. That are these players that are so hit and miss. That to make up that team, it's the only player that I would take is probably Van Aanholt. And you're talking about a left back.
Van Aanholt, oh God.
Player. So Palace for me are a team that deserve to be where they are, if not further down. Burnley, on the other hand, almost in a similar position because realistically Burnley are full of Championship players. But there's something about Burnley about just being resolute at times you almost don't expect them to be. We've always joked about Turf Moor being a tough place to go, and it hasn't been the past couple of years, but down the line it has been. And then against teams like Palace, for some reason, Burnley seemed to start playing football. No one expected them to be 1 up inside 5 minutes, let alone 2 up in 10. They played really well today, Burnley, and I think that for what it's worth, I think hopefully they could kick on and try and get up the table a little bit. Because I think they're a poor side, Burnley, but I much prefer them to Palace. I just don't like Crystal Palace, and I think it won't be long before things start to unravel come summer.
So Burnley have actually 17 goals this season, and have got 10 different goal scorers this season. That says a lot. Chris Wood's the top goal scorer with 4 goals. Then I think the next one's 2 goals. So they don't get a lot of goals, but they just get them from everywhere. And you mentioned that Crystal Palace are no team without Zaha. Completely agreed. I think they're not the same team. Maybe Eze's a decent player in that team, but I think he'll move on quite quickly if it's not this summer. So if you look at the amount they spent 15 million on Eze. They spent about 10 million on Chiarte. They spent 30 million on Sacco. They spent 10 million on Sorloth. They spent 30 million on Benteke. 15 million on Townsend. The list goes on and on. Palace have spent. They have spent. So how long are they going to accept being a very mediocre side under Roy Hodgson that can't play without Zaha in that team? I don't know. I don't believe Zaha will move on because I think the asking price is too high. But they're not the same team, yet they have spent a lot of money on these players. I don't know.
Yeah. I think they got 6 players out today. I think they've got 6 major players out, but the defending. I watched the first half, the first 2 goals for Burnley. As much as they were good from the Burnley point of view, I think mainly it was just really poor defending from Crystal Palace. And I agree. It's just, if I was a Palace fan, it's just a bit depressing watching them because I don't know. It's just Roy Hodgson as their manager it just doesn't inspire me. It just doesn't give anything. There's nothing to really go off. The players just it's just poor. I don't see anything from their side. But I just think, even though like Dan says that a lot of Burnley's players you could say are more Championship, but they give everything for Sean Dyche. They give everything for the team. So when you look at it on the other side, Palace I don't think do that under Hodgson. So full credit to Burnley because they've been putting some stellar performances. I think they're going to miss Chris Wood depending on how long he's out for. I think he got injured playing against us, didn't he? So he wasn't playing today. I think Ben Mee went off with was a concussion substitute. I think was it the first one that they've done so far. So hopefully everything's okay with him as well as the captain. But in terms of Burnley, good performance, and like I said, they managed to just do enough every season to just scrape it off. So congratulations to Burnley, but Palace were just really poor.
I think another to mention, the one player I've been really impressed by with Burnley in the last couple of years is Tarkowski in defence. Dan, he's been linked to Leicester, hasn't he?
Yeah, I wouldn't take him.
They asked for £50 million. That's why people were put off buying him. West Ham were in for him as well.
Harry Maguire 2.0.
He looks like him.
He's sluggish, good in the air. It's exactly the same player.
No, that's not Tarkowski. That's Ben Mee. You're talking about Ben Mee there. You're not talking about Tarkowski. Tarkowski's decent with the ball.
Maguire's decent with the ball.
Yeah.
If Tarkowski came into Leicester, it'd be exactly the same. We don't need him.
No.
We don't need him now. And the fact that we've gone out and bought Fofana is signaling enough to me as a fan to go, we're looking elsewhere, because the asking price is ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous.
It's not realistic at all.
That's not played at a particularly high level in comparison to Leicester and Burnley. Coming into our side, he'd have to earn his stripes, and he wouldn't want that because he'd say, argue he's established at Burnley, he's this, that, and the other, and he's pushing for an England call-up. So, Burnley need to keep hold of him for their own sake. They can't afford to let him go, because if Tarkowski goes, that's a massive hole in your back line, and you'd miss him more than me.
And he's 28. He's 28. How can he expect to get 50 million? There's no real resale value.
30 million tops.
He's in his prime.
Yes, but still, you don't buy someone for 50 million from Burnley and say, you know what, you've got to have an instant impact. for the next 2-3 seasons, and then your career could almost be done. That's not good enough. That wouldn't be a sensible transfer from Leicester or West Ham, who were also linked with him. That'd just be silly. Maybe 30 million, but not 50.
It's not the Brendan Rodgers way. He likes youthful players that are good on the ball. So Tarkowski is not an option.
Yeah. What do you think of? I'm a big fan of Sionchu and of Fofana, but I don't see them working in a partnership together quite well, because I think they're both a bit hot-headed when they're on the ball or when they're trying to intercept passes. I think they're great players, both of them in their own right. But what would happen to Leicester as soon as Evans, who's starting to look a bit past it? What if as he decides to retire or go elsewhere? What happens to that Leicester defence? Do you play Sionchu and Fofana? Because I'd be worried. I feel like they're just a bit too uneasy. Yeah.
I think you can trust them on the basis that you've got Kolo Toure as a first team coach, and you've got Wes Morgan, who's been there done for the t-shirt.
Beautiful human being, Kolo.
I think you can trust them, and they've been. I mean, especially Soyuncu now. It's not like he wasn't playing. He was still in the squad when he wasn't playing, when we were playing Morgan and Fuchs, and he was still in the squad. He just wasn't even getting a look in. So he's been around the squad, the Premier League, for a few years now. I could trust those two centre-halves, knowing that we've got it to fall back on. You've got Toure, who's there for a helping hand. You've got Morgan, who's still going to be there. And if Johnny Evans does leave, the chances are Johnny Evans probably comes back as some kind of management role, because he's getting on a bit now. Brendan Rodgers will probably want him to stay and do some kind of work for us. I don't know what it'd be, but it'd be nice to keep Johnny Evans. And I think the experience that he's passing down now in game to Soyuncu and Fofana only bodes well for us in the future. And
of course, it's just I just love what Burnley are doing there. They're just doing it again, aren't they? By just staying up for another season. Sean Dyche, with what he's got in front of him, he's done well yet again. Because he didn't even sign any players, did he? In the summer, I think Burnley were the only team that didn't spend any money out of all 20 Premier League sides. So well done to him there, Sean Dyche, doing a great job. And I'm sure it was down to being an absolute genius. You know,
a dinosaur as well.
I can't speak like him for that long. It would hurt my throat. That's just all from shouting at one game. Imagine what he's like when he just speaks normal. Probably the most delightful voice ever. David Attenborough-esque, maybe. Who knows? Anyway, of course, there is another game happening later on tonight, which I'm sure everyone will be in bed by then. Brighton and Hove Albion up against Aston Villa. 8 o'clock is way past our bedtime. And to tell you the truth, I don't think there'll be many people fussed about that game.
Oh, don't be too. I mean, Brighton play nice football, and Aston Villa are always on the front foot. I think that'll be a very fascinating game to watch.
You can watch it then. So.
I will watch it. I will watch it. I'm just mentioning it.
In the Scottish Premiership, Aberdeen 0, St Mirren 0, Dundee United 3, Livingston 0, Motherwell 1, Hamilton 4, Rangers another win for them. That's 1-0 over Kilmarnock today, and there was one game postponed, and that was Ross County versus Hibs. Not that many people would have missed that game anyway, because they can't go into the stadium. So, but Rangers again. Dan, we haven't heard from you about Scottish Premiership. I don't know if you follow it at all. I'm sure you do, from what I can remember. But Rangers, are you surprised by how well they've done this season?
No.
Great answer. Next, let's go. Move on.
No.
Move on.
In all seriousness, it's been a long time coming for Rangers, especially with Gerrard in charge. There was a lot of slack about. Yeah, all right, Joe, chill. There's a lot of slack about Gerrard, and I think he's slowly built that team and got it in a position where he wants it to be. I think Ryan Kent's an outstanding player, and I'm surprised that somebody hasn't come in for him Premier League wise. I think he's a great player. I think Morelos, as much as he's got a temper and he's very hard to trust from a discipline point of view, as a player when he's on it, he's a very good striker. Very, very good striker, and would probably do a job in the Premier League. If he could tone down his anger and whatnot, he'd become a decent striker at the top level. They've got the weapons there, Rangers, and I'm glad to see them, continuing where they left off pretty much from last year and start to build on what they had last year. And it's good. But it's nice to see someone different. It's always Celtic and Rangers, but it's nice to see Celtic not winning it, seeing Rangers win it. It then opens the door up again.
Yeah.
Other teams like your Aberdeens and Hibernian and whoever that are pushing for those sort of third, fourth, fifth spots that can then go right next year. It's going to be us, and we've got to buy a couple of players here and there, and we'll do the same thing. And you've got to remember that Gerrard's a pretty inexperienced manager, so what he's doing up there is pretty fantastic. As much as it's a pretty poor league in reality, what he's still doing is fantastic because you've still got to beat whoever gets put in front of you.
And
Do the job.
And Dan, what the one thing I can admire about Gerrard is the patience of it all. It's easy to have one bad season or to just miss out and go, well, not going to get the chance again. It's like, no, just stick at it, just one step at a time, one game at a time. And, Gerrard deserved that credit. And I remember when he finally got that win against Celtic, I think it wasn't last Christmas, it was the Christmas before that, around that time. And, this is when the fans were back in the stadium. So, big atmosphere, big game. And Gerrard showed it at full time. He was, the spirit was there, the ambition he had to get that win, and you can see it in his eyes, couldn't you? He had that Rangers DNA in him. He knew what it meant to the fans.
Yeah, and I think that's only good for the future if he decides to stay. I think there's got to be a point where do you go from here? Because you're going to go for the Scottish League Cup, you're going to go for the Scottish Premiership,
then the Champions League.
Yeah, but where do you go? Because then you've got to win the Europa. So,
yeah.
You can only go so far with Rangers and take them to a place that you want them to be. It's then whether he stays and continues to build that legacy of staying with the club for so many years, like he did when he was playing for Liverpool, or does he go to another destination and build something
Liverpool,
elsewhere?
maybe.
It's like Lampard. It's a risk. It was a risk leaving Derby because he should never have got the Chelsea job because he wasn't experienced enough. He was doing all right at Derby, got them to the playoffs. They were in a decent position. If he'd stayed and he'd kept Mount, Tomori, whoever was there at Derby at the time, they were building a fantastic team.
Yeah.
And obviously, of course, the moment that Chelsea came in for Lampard, it was going to be, I've got to go. And I can't blame him. But at the same time, it's like, well, you were building something fantastic at Derby, and Derby could have been a Premier League side if he continued where he'd left off. And it'd be the same for Gerrard, is whether he stays at Rangers and continues to build on what he's got now and keep buying players and getting rid of the deadwood and whatever and sorting that team out even further. Or if somebody comes in for him, does he go, right, I'm off? And then drop down and he doesn't do so well at that next club and he's back to square one again. So it's tough for Gerrard, but I applaud what he's doing at the minute.
Joe, it's nearly half time, isn't it, at the Tottenham game? How many minutes in?
42 minutes gone, so we've got about 3 minutes to go until half time. City just had a couple of opportunities. First one, Sterling gets in behind Davies around the right hand side, plays the ball back. Gundogan's shot blocked, and then falls to Cancelo, who plays it to Jesus, who blasts it over the top of the crossbar. But apart from that, it's just been steady possession really for Manchester City. One chance for Kane from the free kick, and then nothing else really from Tottenham. To be honest, it's been all Manchester City for me.
The United fan in me is going to ask you this question. Oh, actually, no, you've just answered it. Never mind.
Go on.
I was going to ask you if Spurs have any chance of getting an equaliser, but you've just kind of said it at the end there. Oh, well.
You never know.
So that's 1-0 to Man City against Spurs in that game. So, yeah, of course, Man City just can't stop winning at the moment if they can keep that scoreline come the end of the game. Let's go through the Championship because there was some results today. Some of the games did play. There's a few frozen pitches around the UK, so that meant a lot of postponements. But let's just have a look here. So Nottingham Forest 0, Bournemouth 0, Birmingham City 0, Luton Town 1, Cardiff City 3, Coventry City 1, Derby County 2, Middlesbrough 1, Huddersfield Town 2, Wycombe Wanderers 3. Wycombe Wanderers, I just love the fact that they're in the Championship. It's fantastic to see. Norwich City 4, Stoke City 1. No wonder my dad didn't look happy at full time. Reading 1, Millwall 2. And the two games that were postponed was Rotherham United versus QPR and Sheffield Wednesday versus Swansea. I think Swansea were still recovering from the defeat to Man City. And Watford 6, Bristol City 0. Wow, interesting with some of those results. Norwich City up there, Bournemouth up there, at the moment this season. Dan, I know you love your Championship football, but who have you been impressed with the most? Because Bournemouth have been doing all right, Brentford doing great again, Norwich up there again. It's a good season.
It's a good season. I think there's probably a couple of teams that I've been impressed with. Of course, I don't want to put Norwich in there because Norwich are they're always going to be top 2, top 3.
Yeah, always.
And from where they left off when they got relegated, I think they had every chance of going straight back up. So, yeah, Norwich are there on merit. Brentford, I think, have been brilliant, having lost Ollie Watkins to then bring in Ivan Toney, who's a proven goal scorer at Peterborough, to then come in straight away and score the amount of goals he has so far. I think he's got 14, so far this season, maybe a bit more. Okay. He's been a fantastic signing for them, and they've continued to keep the ball rolling. So Brentford been brilliant. But the team that's, I think, surprised me the most at the minute, and I'm surprised they are where they are in the table, is Cardiff. Now, they're currently 7th, but since they sacked Neil Harris, Mick McCarthy's come in, who we all know has been here everywhere in football. I think he's had every job.
Wonderful goal.
What a man. He's gone into Cardiff and he's unbeaten since he took charge. And the thing with the Championship is it's momentum. Everything about the Championship is momentum. If you can build momentum throughout the winter, going into the springtime, into April, and you've got momentum with you and you go into the playoffs and the momentum, the chances are you get to the playoff final and then it's a one-off game. Cardiff, for me, are there or thereabouts. They're 6 points off 6th at the minute, and with Bournemouth, who are sitting in 6th. But Cardiff have got every chance if they continue like that. They're playing some fantastic football. I mean, the game against Coventry today, they were 3-0 up, and some of the goals that they were putting in the back of the net were just brilliant football. It was great. Yeah. And Coventry, to in their defence, played quite well as well. It was an open game. But Mick McCarthy's got that team playing. What he's done, I don't know. But I think Cardiff, for me, are definitely an outsider, but they've got every chance of getting into the playoffs this year.
Cardiff City getting back in the Premier League. Who knows? Joe, it's half-time, I believe, at Man City.
Yeah, half-time. I didn't want to disrupt Dan because he was on a roll there, so I just did the T to the kind of, it's half-time. Manchester City 1, Tottenham Hotspur 0. The game which City pretty much controlled the flow of the game, to be honest. Pep Guardiola still doesn't look happy on the touchline, though. I don't know why.
I mean, he's never happy until he gets his hands on a Champions League. Oh, sorry, it's been nearly 10 years. But yeah, I get what you mean there, Joe. It's Pep Guardiola on a roll himself as well with the wins for Man City.
The special one, well, he's not looking so special at the moment.
It's funny actually because in the at least 2 of the games since Mourinho's been manager of Spurs, he has beaten Pep. So he can still find a way, but at this moment in time, Spurs just not having a great season, and they were celebrating getting Europa League football in their final game last season, which just kind of shows with Spurs, doesn't it? I had this argument with my brother the other day, and he said Spurs are a big club. I'm like, oh yeah, but I don't know. What do you define big?
Medium-sized, I think, Spurs. With all due respect to the club.
And I do wear mediums, in case you're wondering. So yeah, interesting.
This fixture's a bit of a flashback to me because I think my first game that I reported on for Let's Talk Sport in the Calon days was Manchester City versus Tottenham, and it was a 2-2 draw.
It's going to be 2-2 tonight.
City took a 2-0 lead, and Son and Kane equalised.
As long as Gundogan scores tonight, I don't mind.
Yeah.
Brilliant. Seb, of course, your game is now into the second half. Napoli still 1-0 up.
Yeah, and surprisingly so. So Merritt, who I'm surprised is back in the team for Napoli tonight in place of Ospina, has had some work to do. I mean, Ronaldo had a good chance from probably about a metre out, and right at the goalkeeper. He's not looked convincing tonight, Ronaldo. It's all been Juventus in the second half. We're at the 57th minute, and I'm sure Juventus will get that goal because Napoli rarely hold on to a lead, so Juventus will get a goals. And Bakayoko, I'm surprised. He's basically, I think, committed all the fouls in the second half, and he's only got a yellow card after probably the 5th one. He's actually done well for Napoli. He's actually made.
Jack, you responded very late there.
Jesus Christ.
No.
I forgot you still have him.
Okay. I'll say this now. I thought he was terrible in the Premier League when he was there, but I think it's really, and I think he was probably overrated when he was at Monaco. But he's the player that really is missing from Chelsea. Some robust midfielder who can actually play a bit further up, who's a defensive midfielder. Now, I don't think it would work at Chelsea, but I think that type of player definitely is missing from Chelsea at the moment. Tuchel was hired as manager, I think Bakayoko was missing, yeah. But he's just running himself into a red card at this moment. Yeah, I'd be surprised if Napoli can hold on to this. It'd be great for the title. Well, no, actually, it wouldn't be great for the title race because that means they just fall further behind the Milan teams.
Yeah, Juventus would, wouldn't they? Yeah.
Yeah, they need to. They need to win this realistically to stay within the Milan teams because I think they're about 5 points behind Inter Milan and 7 behind AC. So they need to probably keep up the momentum. But they've been good this calendar year, Juventus. So I'm surprised that they haven't got anything yet. It'll come.
It wasn't such a bad week though, I guess, for Juventus. They're in the Coppa Italia final. Andrea Pirlo guiding his team to a cup final, the first time for the new Juventus manager. Which Andrea Pirlo every time I see him on the sidelines as a coach, he's just the coolest man in the stadium. He's just his fashion sense is quite amazing.
The opposite of Conte the other night. I mean, Conte was anything but cool.
Conte needs to go to sleep. He looks knackered.
I don't know whether you saw what happened after that match in the Coppa Italia the other night, Jamie. Did you?
I missed it, but
basically, this middle finger of Conte was shown towards Agnelli, the Juventus president, because obviously Conte and him fell out near the end of Conte's reign there, and I thought it was just brilliant. Yeah, Conte's an experienced manager, yet he still acts extremely childish, even more childish than most players would act. It's brilliant to see. It's entertainment like we want it, but you don't want to see a manager acting like that because it's just a bad example.
Oh no, I love it. Anyway, it's good entertainment. Now I know what you mean, Seb. It's not a good influence for the players around you when you're meant to be leading the team, that's for sure. Anyway, let's go back to the Championship. So we've announced the results. So Norwich City are top at the moment with a point over Brentford. Brentford do have a game in hand. Brentford, they're doing great. They're doing great stuff with that team. I mean, they just missed out, didn't they, in the Premier League because of that playoff final against Fulham. I know so because I watched it with a Brentford fan and she still won't let it go that they lost. Swansea City are third. They've got 4 points behind Brentford, but they've got 2 games in hand over Norwich and a game in hand over Brentford. Of course, Swansea's game was cancelled today. Watford with 51 points in 4th. Reading 3 points behind Watford in 5th. And then Bournemouth are in the last spot of the playoffs. With 46 points. And as Dan mentioned, Cardiff on a roll and 6 points behind Bournemouth for the playoffs. Then looking at the bottom of the table, Wycombe Wanderers, of course, rock bottom and have done pretty much full season on 19 points and a 10 off the safety zone of Rotherham United in 21st. But look at this, Birmingham City and Sheffield Wednesday, 2 big clubs in the Championship, pretty much looking like they could head down to League One. Who knows, plenty of games still to go, but time is not on their side at the moment.
Aren't they all big clubs in the Championship right now?
Except for Wycombe.
we keep saying that. We keep saying they're a big club. They're a big club. Well, there are so many big clubs in the Championship now.
Wycombe, Coventry, Derby, and Forest. Yes.
Forest.
Small.
He's loving it. Look at his face. I've missed that smile. Brilliant.
And it looks like Morata's put it in. No,
he's offside.
He's offside. He's offside. He's offside.
Morata, for what?
Morata, the guy who was born offside.
Alongside Abraham.
They don't accumulate those offside Abraham. Oh no, you think Abraham gets offside? Morata is always offside.
Seb, we had both of them.
Is it a Chelsea thing?
Oh Jesus!
Hey, think about it. They made a profit because they sold Morata and bought Werner. They made a profit. They didn't lose any money by buying Werner. They made 10 million.
I can have a go at our board for many transfers, and I think one of the reasons Frank's gone is because we can't get rid of some of the absolute crap we've got at the minute. But what we've done previously, we've had absolute great in terms of managing to get money back for players that are absolute crap. So,
we'll see how much they get for Bakayoko.
Well, yeah, we still got. That's what I said. We've still got some dead wood left.
He's been good for them. He adds balance to Napoli that they desperately didn't have. I'm not convinced Deme can really bring to Napoli. He's been good for Napoli, and I think it's a clever signing. But Serie A.
Every time people mention Deadwood, I keep thinking about the Cowboy TV series from the 2000s with and a gun, but no.
Drink water is definitely Deadwood, and this comes back to what we were
Is
saying.
he still at Chelsea?
Okay, so
No, he's on loan, isn't he? To a Turkish club.
yeah, he's on loan now.
He's
But
still there, though.
I mentioned that Vardy was the last one to score in that Leicester game that they won against Liverpool. So was Drinkwater, just to bring it back. It's all a big circle jerk.
Now I must drink some water.
What a goal it was!
I know. I'm just making a circle about everything we're saying tonight.
Yeah.
Quickly go through League One. Lots of postponements. There was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 postponed. Charlton Athletic 2, Gillingham 3, Hull City 0, Milton Keynes Dons 1, MK Dons shit club, Northampton Town 0, Burton Albion 2, Plymouth Argyle 1, Fleetwood Town 0, and Sunderland 4, Doncaster Rovers 1. It's crazy to think that Sunderland are in League One. Well, there's only 2 games that happened in League 2 today. 2 in League 2. Bolton Wanderers 1, Stevenage 0, Cambridge United 0, Southend United 0. God, there's a lot of frozen pitches. Instead, I tell you what, it's more refreshing hearing that than it being COVID results. Because let's be honest, we had a lot of games postponed because of COVID results, and at least it's not that. Of course, Wrexham were supposed to play this evening, and our mate Adam Davies was supposed to be watching the game for us, but that got postponed.
Adam, watching Wrexham?
Yeah, I think he...
This is the reason why he postponed. This is the reason why he's absent.
That game, along with most of the other matches, apart from 3 of them, actually did go on today. Stockport County 0, Aldershot Town 0, Sutton United 2, Bournemouth 0, Yeovil Town 2, Altrincham 0. And I thought, let's touch upon Wrexham, Jack, because it's happened. It's happened.
Yes.
Ryan Reynolds.
Hang on.
Oh, hang on. He's got some. You haven't bought it? No,
it's an old one.
I thought you got the limited edition one. But
I'm more worried that it's empty.
Yeah, well, this was ages ago. I've turned it into a little light. I don't know if you can see it.
I can't see it.
a light.
Everything.
I like that.
Oh, that is cool.
It's been a rough few months.
Yeah.
Yeah, Jack's drinking responsibilities is not down to Let's Talk Sport.
I don't condone drinking if you're under the age, but I've also got a gentleman Jack here. That,
Are we not supposed to be drinking during this?
Oh,
no, but...
Oh, Jack, is that actually quite good whiskey, that one? I've not tried
It's
that
very
one.
nice, yeah.
What is it?
I've only kept it in a bottle because obviously it's got my name on it. I'm that. I need to remember what my name is.
Actually, Jack might hate me for this. Go on, who's speaking?
I was saying, as if you're giving them free promotion by just going, look at this.
Should we talk about our whiskies? Let's get our whiskies out.
Can I actually, I must admit, in front of everyone, this was actually supposed to be Jack's. Now, I was supposed to go see Jack before Christmas, but we didn't get to because of COVID. So it's half empty now.
Yeah, but Jack Daniels is not a good one. So.
It's quite good, isn't it, Jamie?
I like it. I've had it. Yeah, I like Hay Club. It's but actually, anyway.
Let's talk whiskey.
Let's talk whiskey.
That's a new show we're creating next week.
Next week, along with Final Whistle show, and it was Hay Club.
Final
1,
whiskey,
Jack
more like.
Daniels 0.
Anyone wants to sponsor us if they're listening?
I'm not desperate. But anyway, Jack, Ryan Reynolds and Rob McAnally have bought Wrexham, and I could not believe the post when Ryan Reynolds on Instagram wearing the Wrexham jacket, his initials there, like he's a coach of the club, and the fact that David Beckham commented underneath it and would say, welcome to football, and I'm thinking, what the fuck? Like 20 minutes down the road, Wrexham's just been bought. What the hell? I mean, it's fantastic.
Oh, absolutely. And I think in terms of the community, obviously, I think everywhere's obviously had it rough due to COVID. But I think to have something like this for like Wrexham fans to hold on to, and the community and everything really they've been putting in their post. Obviously, we're yet to see everything to go because it's only just initially starting, but everything is to do sort of with the community as well, and they're saying all the right things. Like if you listen to all the Wrexham fans that have been able to do them Zoom meetings at the beginning and have been able to see what's happened so far with the supporters trust, everything is to do with to make Wrexham sort of better, not just as the team, but in terms of the community as well, and obviously to make sure that they leave the club when they eventually do in a better place. So I think ultimately it's only going to be good news for Wrexham and obviously the wider area, and like we obviously went to university there, did the radio show at the university as well. So, we've obviously been at Wrexham. We've done events there as well in terms of the stadium. So it's sort of a big part of what we've done in sort of our youth as at university as well. So I think it's important to see Wrexham, because we all know, and obviously going to watch him as a kid as well, the potential is there for Wrexham. As fans of the club, we've been waiting years, like since we left the League Two, to finally get that push again, to be able to get into the Football League. And we've been waiting, just like, we just need a bit of investment. We just need somebody to come in, anyone with a bit of money.
And then here comes Deadpool.
You get that announcement that, Deadpool and Always Sunny in Philadelphia, which, I know Jamie's...
The green mascot.
Well. Yeah. I don't know if you've seen the bit so far in the series of Always Sunny where they do that Fight Milk commercial. I'm expecting Wrexham to be sponsored by Fight Milk at some point.
That's gotta happen.
Look, it's huge news. And like I said, when I first read the announcement that somebody or some people had put investment in, and they just put really subtly in that little note that it was Ryan Reynolds and Rob McElhenney, it was just like, really? Like, Jesus. So it's huge news. And obviously, like I say, most of us have all been on the shows and done stuff at Wrexham, and I just think it's big news for the actual community to feel like there could be a chance of them getting into the Football League again.
I find bizarre is the fact that they had a list of clubs from across the country in different leagues that they could have brought, and they chose Wrexham because obviously the history behind the club and the fact that they wanted to bring someone from non-league up through the leagues or something. That's apparently one of the things that they decided, which I find really interesting. Yeah, it's just mad. It's Wrexham.
Yes, Jamie.
Sorry, that should be the new Wrexham mascot, but in red.
Imagine
the
when
dragon. It's the green guy.
Imagine when they're looking through the English clubs and they're thinking, which one can we go? Wrexham. That sounds like a good English club that we can invest in.
And it's
like,
in Wales.
oh no. But then got to go through with it.
My favourite was that when the Vanarama didn't give them any money, and they were the only club out of all of them to not get any money, and they just commented going, "We don't need their money." And it was just like, yes.
I missed
that's
that.
what we want to hear.
Oh yeah, that's what Ryan Reynolds likes to hear. It's like, oh wow, you expected me to put that money in?
Yeah. I need to put more money in.
Dan, of course, you went to uni with us, Joe and Jack and me.
Not me.
What when you heard this? Not you, Seb. Get out.
I'm excluded on this.
Stay in Switzerland.
I'm gonna make my screen just hide itself. There we go. Stop the video. There we go. I'm just gonna let you have your moments.
We'll call you back in a minute.
If you could sit in that corner. Dan, what did you think of this news when it first happened? You must have thought, holy shit.
I better relocate quickly, I think, and get a house up there before the house prices start going up again. It's incredible news, and like I said, it's quite close to the heart, isn't it? Especially after having spent 3 years up there, and obviously being with you guys, and just being up there for uni in general. It's great for the community. It's great for Wrexham. It's great to get Wrexham on the map again, because they're a Football League club. Everything is there for them, like Jack said. It's just getting to that level now on the pitch. Dean Keats, whether he's good enough, I don't know. Whether the players are good enough, I'm not sure. But with the investment, that changes everything. It changes mentality, it changes personnel, it changes infrastructure, it changes everything. And if they're going to be hands-on, and they are not just going to buy it for buying its sake and make out as if they're going to be there for Wrexham and they've got this sort of mission that they want to achieve and whatever, then okay, great. But they've got to stick to that mission, and they've got to be hands-on, because it is a club that needs nurturing again, back up to the Football League, and it's going to take all the support possible to get it back to where it needs to be. If they're going to stand away from it and just let it be its own entity, then it's not really good enough. If you're going to buy it, a club like that with all its history,
which is the easy part.
Exactly. The hard part is getting everything in place on the pitch. Everything else off the pitch is just sixth sense to people like that have got business brains and people that can help them. Yeah, massive for Wrexham, but I hope that it's not just one of these, let's buy it for buying its sake, and let's hope that it actually builds Wrexham as the community, as the football club, as everything to get them up to the Football League and to make Wrexham an even better place than what it is.
I just love their mission statement all the time now. It's we are going to be better than Chester. You know, always beat Chester. I mean, Chester fans must be a little bit. Oh, great.
We're going to phone Hugh Jackman to get Chester on his books.
We're going to get what? Sorry.
Or you're going
Hugh
to
Jackman.
get Hugh Jackman to buy Chester and.
Wasn't that from Madam Davies' sources?
No.
What, HP? Tomato?
Michael Owen tried to
No, okay.
years ago, didn't he?
What was that? Sorry, Joe.
After a few years of Jack, I'm worried now. I'm worried that you're coming up with those sorts of jokes.
That's a Jamie joke. That's really a Jamie joke.
Wait, what did I say again? Wait, I missed this. What did Jack say?
Did Jamie say? What did Jamie say?
Our sources are that it's from Adam Davis, so I don't know what. And then Jack just said HP sauce.
He just picked it up.
I see. I got one.
I mean, I'd have said Heinz tomato ketchup, but okay.
I did as well. But...
Yeah,
all right, then you didn't say Hellman's mayonnaise, did you?
No, you can have that one.
Okay. I mean, I guess as well, you know, it's early days, of course, and as Dan said, it's all about, you know, leaving something behind when they do go, that it does become that new kind of club where it's more positive, and, you know, they're a much bigger club on the map, etc. Joe, it's an interesting one, because I guess, like with Dan, with his team, Leicester, you know, Vakai came in, he brought the community together as well. He didn't just do stuff for the club, he did stuff around the city area, and because of that he became a legend for it. And I guess for Ryan Reynolds and Rob McAnally, I mean, apparently they are going to document this, they are going to film, like, the while they are there, they're going to probably make this into a documentary as well. So I think this is when we got to hope that it's not just because of all that, it is to just make this club bigger and better again.
Yeah, and I've got a perfect documentary title: Building Back Wrexham.
Now there you go. There you go. How much percentage do you get out of that?
Copyright, yeah.
I'd buy it now if I was you.
I think you said what was it? You said they want to leave a lasting impact. I think when they said they want to rebuild is it Cop Stand? Is it called the Standing one?
Yeah, they want to rebuild that. Yeah.
And Jack, you've just got points in your fantasy football. 2-0. Ilkay Gundogan.
He's my captain. My captain getting the goal.
What happened, Joe?
Well, I was busy talking, but I just looked up at the right moment. Ilkay Gundogan played through. They're just going to show the replay now. Sterling down the right-hand side, cuts inside, gets past a couple of players, Tottenham players. It has to play it back to Foden, who plays it to Ilkay Gundogan, back to Sterling again, who cuts inside again, plays in Gundogan, who takes a couple of touches and hits a left-footed shot. Laurie should be doing better because it's straight at him, but it goes right through the goalkeeper. It's a pretty tame shot, to be honest. Squirms under his hands, and it's 2-0 to Manchester City. As I was saying about Wrexham, they want to leave a lasting imprint on this thing. I think when they rebuild that stand, they should probably put their faces into the brickwork somehow. So you just walk past the stand, it's just their face.
Brilliant. Well,
I think it's going to be good because they've obviously already put some money towards the club, haven't they? They've made $2 million January. And they've also seen online that they've donated to some charities in the area, and they paid for a fan to have their bathroom refitted or something, a disabled fan.
Yeah, disabled fan. Yeah, I saw that.
So it's nice little touches from them, which is good. And with regards to Chester, when you were saying about investment, they could have nearly had a takeover a couple of years ago with Michael Owen. It's not quite the same ballpark, but
that Hollywood charismatic star coming in to buy them, and there you have Michael Owen.
Yeah, he is pretty boring, to be honest. I can say that from personal experience.
I mean, Jack. The crazy thing is as well is that obviously whenever this does happen, hopefully it'll be around the corner, which is, you know, they do want to come to the ground, they want to go and see a game and all that. Can you imagine? I mean, they sell enough tickets anyway, don't they? They get 4,000 to 5,000 in when it comes to big games at the racecourse, which Dan mentioned. It just shows they are a football league team. The fan base is huge. You know, it's probably obviously behind Cardiff, the biggest club in Wales, which some people may
Swansea?
say, whoa. Yeah, but I mean, but Wrexham, there's something about Wrexham. It's always been a big club. It's just not worked out in the last decade or so. But Jack, with this, you know, can you imagine what the crowds will be like if they turn up? It'll be double that if they can.
Yeah, no, Dan's right in the sense that it is very much a club just waiting to be re-woken up again. The attendance has always been high. I'd say it's dropped over the last couple of years simply because fans have been like, every year you get so far and then they just sort of give up because Wrexham can't afford to go up. Basically, they can't afford to go up. They've been in that position where they can't afford it. You know, players would want increases. We'd have to bring more players in, better players. It just wouldn't work financially. So it's been that sense where we're just stuck in the National League. So to have that reinvestment, to have that sort of chance of going in, obviously the attendance would then start to come in once everything is allowed for people to go back in the grounds. Once they get the cop sorted, that's another extra stand for people to come into the place as well. I'm not sure how they'd get both of them into the ground because unless they come in via helicopter, because like the main stand is right outside the main road, so people would just be standing outside. It would be, I don't know how
people will be run over.
Yeah, I don't know how they'd get in and out of the ground.
They'll go into Wrexham General, you know, from Birmingham New Street. They'll get
the train.
Walk down Mole Road.
Will they not go off to Wrexham Central and get off on the wrong stop?
They'll walk up from town centre, call in it.
They'll have to go in. They'll have to go in the day before, won't they, and just spend the night in the stadium.
Just pop in the turf overnight.
Sleep in the desks in the boardroom.
I'm just
booked the whole Premier in.
Yeah.
It's really funny. Like, it really has been the talk of the town. People where I live have been talking about it. Like, my mum has even been saying, "Oh, I'd love it if Ryan Reynolds came for a pint in Malpas." I was like, "Who knows? Who knows? It's that bloody crazy. Who knows? I mean, he seems like a very nice bloke anyway. But for me, Jack, it's Rob McAnally. For me, I just want to ask him about Danny DeVito and just the scene when he sleeps with him on his sofa bed.
Yeah. How far have you got? Actually, I know it's not football related.
Season 8.
Oof.
8, yeah. They've just signed up for 5 more years, so yeah. It's never going to end. So they must do a sequel in Wrexham. They must do a special edition episode in Wrexham.
It's always raining in Wrexham.
It's always raining in Wrexham.
But instead of raining with an R, it should be a W. Just to
W, yeah. Just like their Twitter profiles. Well said, Joe. And it's funny as well. I can imagine the start of the episode could just be Danny DeVito gets absolutely smashed and somehow ends up in Wrexham. Sounds like a Danny DeVito story for that TV show. Anyway, well done to Wrexham, and I'm sure in the near future, hopefully, we will see what happens with the club going forward. And actually, let me just get the National League table up because their season hasn't really gone.
They're in 7th, I think.
Wow. Where are they?
I think they're 7th.
Are they? Oh, yeah, they are. I thought they were doing really bad. No, they're doing all right. So they could actually get into the playoffs potentially for the end of the season. Of course, there has been calls for votes to end the National League season early. We don't know yet. There's been calls from some clubs to end it, especially in the North and South divisions. But Torquay are top at the moment, 7 points clear. But Sutton United have 3 games in hand. But Wrexham all the way with 32 points at 7th place. So it's going to be an interesting few weeks and months ahead for Wrexham. We'll see what happens. Of course, for Chester fans, they're not delighted, and they probably would rather be somewhere else right now. But that's just the way it is. And I know that Andy Pollard is absolutely loving it. So well done to them. Anyway, let's start previewing the games for tomorrow. Let's start off with Arsenal versus Leeds United, shall we? Because Seb, Arsenal. This is a big game of all the time when it's between Leeds and Arsenal. Big fixture, especially back in the day. But at the moment, Arsenal have got a lot to prove because they really are just hit and miss, aren't they?
It's like I mentioned, there's that good form that Arteta went under, and we were like, oh, they're back. Arteta's turning it around for them. And I said, well, the games were easy. I think that was right after they beat Newcastle. So, well, let's see when these next fixtures come up. Again, the likes of Southampton, Manchester United, Wolves, Villa. Well, I didn't think Wolves would be difficult, but then they did lose that game. And now we're starting to see, they're actually still back down there again. I think they struggle against Leeds because mainly they're just so intense. But I say that, and there's a stat that I saw the other day that Leeds haven't won a game in London for 3 years. So, so that could be interesting to see if they finally break that. I actually just see Arsenal winning just about. I think Leeds I don't know what to expect from Leeds now. I'm getting frustrated with them. What do we expect from Leeds? Anyone else tell me, because I don't know anymore.
Dan, Leeds United have been quite an interesting team this season. They've been, well, they've certainly been entertaining, but they've had some great games, some great wins, but then some really bad defeats as well.
Well, I live in Leeds, so I know firsthand the situation that.
I asked the wrong person.
Oh yeah, I've got very close mates that are Leeds fans, so I know what's been going on, and I sort of agree with Seb in a way. I think Leeds are, if you're looking from a betting point of view, Leeds are a big price tomorrow to go to Arsenal and win. They're too big from a betting point of view. If you're looking at it on face value, you'd probably go Arsenal, just because, as Seb said, you don't know what to expect from this Leeds side. You know they're going to be intense in terms of the way they play. They press the ball. They play with this sort of free-flowing motion. But it's how many goals they concede at the other end is a massive worry for me. And it's got to be a massive worry for Bielsa because of how he plays football. You know how he's going to play the game. Arsenal are going to struggle because Leeds will score. I'd be shocked if Leeds didn't score tomorrow just because of how bad Arsenal are this season. But it's how they're going to keep Lacazette, Aubameyang, whoever else, out the other end, and they just don't seem to keep enough clean sheets, Leeds. So I think there'll be plenty of goals tomorrow. I'm quite looking forward to it. I think it'll be quite an open game. And we know how both teams like to play, like to get the ball down, play it around, and use a lot of pace that they've got in both teams to split defences apart and score goals. So, yeah, big game. And I know firsthand the emotions that the lads are going to go through if Leeds decide to throw in the towel early doors and they find themselves 3-0 down after 20 minutes. So.
There's one of those ones where Leeds, I mean, if you look at the stats, pressures in the opposition half, Leeds are much above any other team in the Premier League. They just press the whole game. And when you've got... If I were Arsenal, I'd be worried because I think the only player who could probably deal with that is Tierney, and he's out. So if you've got Cedric Suarez, Bellerin, Holding, Luiz, and Leeds apply pressure, it's going to be a long 90 minutes. But I still don't know. I still think that 3-year... Well, actually, it'd be very Arsenal if Leeds finally get a win in London after 3 years against Arsenal.
The last time they played Arsenal was in the Cup, and Arsenal won, but Leeds took them to the very end. So they weren't actually out the game. It wasn't like they'd lost 3 or 4-0. So the London thing for me is a big thing, and it's something that Leeds have to overcome because it's an unwanted record, and it's a pretty poor record. If you the way you said it, it's they've not won in London for 3 years. It's abysmal, that is. But when they last played Arsenal, they came close to winning the game, and the way that they've gone from there to now, it's a completely different team now, and it's one that's playing with an air of freedom at both ends of the pitch, whether that's positive or negative, I'll let you take your pick. But they play with this freedom and attacking style that Bielsa's implemented into the team. Leeds have got every chance of winning tomorrow, I think.
But they managed to hold on in the last game, even though Nicolas Pepe got a red card. That was the interesting one. The 0-0 in the Premier League was the last time they played, and that they managed. Arsenal were really holding on, so I'd be intrigued if Leeds can overrun them again. They probably will.
As long as Bamford scores, I'm all right, Seb, to be honest.
Oh, well, I've got him as well. So, I mean, you're not winning. Oh, wait, no, he's on my bench. Oh, no.
To be honest, Jack, I always think you look like Patrick Bamford.
Excuse me?
Actually, the beard. There's a beard thing going on with Bamford, just like Jack, I can see, actually. I can see what Joe's saying. Actually, Bamford scored a normal... Well... Bamford just scored a tap in the other night, didn't he? Because of a rebound. He was like, "Yeah."
It is quite nice to see Patrick Bamford, getting the working because when he played for us, I mean, obviously I know we didn't utilise maybe the youth system that we do now, but he did not get enough game time. So obviously, I'm sure pretty much every player in the Premier League has had been with us at some point. There's got to be a stat out there, Seb. Come on.
You're putting me under pressure there.
Well, that's all right. I'll give you a week, but
until the next show.
Okay, I'll come up with something.
Probably most of the players in the Premier League have had something to do with Chelsea in their career. But it is good to see Patrick Bamford actually playing with confidence again. I always go back to it because obviously we see firsthand this season and with what Chelsea have gone on. It is all about confidence. You can have really top-rated players or average players. As long as you have the confidence, you can sort of go up against and compete against anybody. And I think that's ultimately what makes the sort of best teams is you playing with that free flow. And like you said, like Dan said, Leeds are playing with that. And it can be a negative because, like I said, they are conceding goals rapidly, but it's one of them teams where they're so free flowing that they're scoring an amount as well to still stay in the game or still win the game. So, as much as Bielsa will not be happy with the way that they are conceding, the fact that they play that free flowing football allows them to compete in the attacking option as well. And I think Dallas has been a good player for Leeds as well this season as well. So they've got them decent enough players to compete. So, I think probably Leeds would go away with the victory tomorrow. I don't think it'll be huge, but I think it might be 2-1.
Oh, 2-1 there. Joe, what are you going for in this one?
Between Leeds and Arsenal, I'm going for a draw.
Go for a draw. There better be goals in it.
1-1 draw.
Is Bamford scoring, Joe?
Yeah, Patty Bamford.
Yeah,
He scores both. He scores both. One's an own goal.
The Jack lookalike is scoring.
There are only two teams in the league that have conceded more goals than Leeds United this season, and do you know which teams they are?
Us?
No. Chelsea conceded 24. Leeds have conceded 38. So
probably Liverpool.
Sheffield United have not even conceded more goals than
Newcastle.
No. Newcastle have conceded the same amount. So it's Crystal Palace conceding 42, and West Brom conceding 54.
And Leeds have got one of the worst set-piece records as well. So if Arsenal have got any chance, if they can't break them down from open play, they've got every chance of scoring from a set-piece. And Leeds, like us, don't seem to want to defend set-pieces.
But knowing the height of Arsenal, they've got no chance of scoring on set-pieces.
I think they've got every chance against Leeds, who can't defend from set-pieces. And it's been a massive bugbearer for Leeds and Leicester, and I think Sheffield United, if I'm not mistaken. These teams don't want to defend set piece or just seem incapable of doing it for whatever reason, whether it's a zonal marking thing or whether it's just simply not winning aerial challenges. Leeds don't defend set pieces well enough. And Arsenal have got a chance if they can get Holding in there, Xhaka if he doesn't take the set piece, and Aubameyang. They've got height in there.
Have they?
Oh yeah, for sure. To cause Leeds problems, 100%.
Because Xhaka's not even that big. I think Xhaka's about 5'9", isn't he?
They only need Scott McTominay.
Leeds aren't exactly a big squad in terms of height, though, and they don't defend set piece. It's a recipe for disaster if you're coming up against sides that have got Holding. David Luiz is known to score a few from headers. There's a chance there.
Before we move on to our next game, Seb, is it nearly full time at
We're
Napoli?
We're in the second minute of added time, and it's still 1-0 to Napoli. Juventus have had, without doubt, the better chance. I don't want to say dominate this second half. They've had the better of the second half, but they haven't been able to convert any chances. There have been points where Napoli have looked like a very good side who can play under pressure, and that's not new. That's Napoli. But your boy, the Mexican boy Lozano, has been down. He's been down so many times. He's had a head injury today. He looks like he's done his hamstring.
Yeah. He's technically dead. If it was down to diving.
Well, no, not diving. He's genuinely got hit today quite a bit.
What? He got hit? Oh my god!
Even though Napoli didn't see the ball that much in the second half, I'd still say that Insigne's been one of the better players on the pitch.
Oh, Joe, there's been a goal. Who from?
Can you guess who scored?
Is it Gundogan?
Good news.
It's Ilkay Gundogan
Why
again
is
for
he
Manchester
so
City.
good at the moment? He's like on the form of his life.
Did Cancelo assist? Please tell me Cancelo assisted, Joe.
No, it was Edison actually. Believe it or not, long ball down.
All right, give me a second.
So is that now Man City 3, Spurs 0, Joe?
Yeah, Manchester City 3, Spurs 0. So the ball's played back to Edison by John Stones. He takes a couple of touches and just launches a long ball forward. Sanchez is all over the place. And Gundogan takes a couple of touches, shifts it to his left foot, and it's a poor goalkeeper again from Lloris, but a left-footed shot by Gundogan, and it squirms past the goalkeeper into the bottom corner. Poor defended by Spurs, poor goalkeeper by Lloris. Again, it's a day for bad goalkeeping by certain goalkeepers, let's just say.
Edison does well. Edison looks like he wants to be Brazilian #1 at this rate.
Yeah, he'll be getting it at this rate as well.
But that's the way Sanchez falls reminds me of Boateng against Messi. You know, where he's just twisted one side, then he falls onto his face.
Oh,
It's
that was
actually,
that
it's
was
actually
the
come
was
off
that the
Lloris's
twister?
stunts.
But just take if you take a look at the goal, Sanchez falls onto his face. It's brilliant.
Edison's just done the big Sam. He's just gone, right, get that ball up there.
I tell you what, I'd be absolutely fuming if I was Mourinho looking at that goal.
Yeah.
That is
It's so easy.
horrific defending.
How-
From a goal, well, not necessarily a goal kick, from inside your own box from a goalkeeper,
Yeah.
have one ball over the top of your defence 60 yards.
Who's right back? And Dombele as well. Who is
It's
that?
Tanganga, isn't it? Or...
Tanganga, yeah.
Is it? Who?
So,
Like,
but there's one rule when you're defending. It's when against the long ball. It's don't let the ball drop. And Sanchez does it once. He does it twice. Yeah, I mean that already means that you're too high up. You've got to anticipate the ball at some point. And if you let it drop once, then don't let it drop twice. Because Gundogan in an aerial against Sanchez should never win. Sanchez is a lot bigger and better on the ball, better header. So I don't get that. He's just let it go through them there.
If that happens in League Two, it's a disgrace. The fact it's happened in the Premier League for one of the top teams in the Premier League is absolutely it's criminal.
yeah. I'd like to see. Jamie. I mean, I like to see their all or nothing documentary at the end of this game. That'd be.
Ooh,
Can you imagine Mourinho after this? Jesus Christ.
But I love it how they called it all or nothing. It's like, well, we know how it ended,
It
so
was nothing
cross
or
out the
nothing,
all.
wasn't it?
Yeah.
I now have some bad news for you, Jack and Seb.
Oh.
Ilkay Gundogan is grabbing his groin.
No.
Oh well, no.
Oh, no.
He's
Yes!
got 2 games
Yes!
this week. He's
Yeah!
He was a double
Well,
game
back
week. That's why I
on.
put him on. That's why I put him on the. That's why I put him as captain. He's got a double game week.
No.
But just to come back to Jimmy, Napoli have defended very resolutely today. Really put their bodies on the line. They're one of the best defences in Serie, so this is not news either. But they've used their 5 substitutes, and Lozano is still limping. It seems like he's pulled his hamstring, but he's still on the pitch. And, I mean, that's admirable. There have been moments where Insigne has come back to defend and managed to dribble his way out of his own half. It's been a brilliant performance from Napoli, and this kind of opens the title race for Napoli, maybe. They're 9 points behind,
yeah.
but I think it's still a bit of a stretch. They go ahead of Lazio. But yeah, I think it's been a very valiant victory for Napoli, and yeah, I'm happy with the result. Yeah, we're in the 6th minute of added time. Yeah, so
That's normal.
we're getting to the end now. We're getting to the end.
And for Juventus, I mean, they'll be 7 points behind AC Milan now, right?
Yeah, with the same amount of games, so
Yeah.
that's pretty damaging. Damaging to Pirlo, considering the good run that they went on after that Inter defeat. You thought they could push on now, they could go further. But then Napoli have actually, I'm still not convinced by Napoli. Every now and then they look good and bad. So for Pirlo to lose this match, I don't think it looks good for him. I think the title race is now down to the Milan clubs, and it's full time as we speak of it. So Napoli have beaten Juventus in that game, and they defended brilliantly. I mean, I think Juventus had about 20 or so shots, just in the not in the second half. Sorry, no, I think they had about 20 shots in all. Yeah.
Well, you'd have thought Ronaldo had wanted more than the Pepsi Cup, but it looks as though it might just be that for this season. But we'll see. No, sorry, not the Pepsi Cup, the PS5 Cup. No, yeah, that was it.
So this is
I can't remember.
This is revenge on the Super Cup final just a few weeks ago, and Napoli are actually celebrating it as if they've won something. So they're all hugging Gattuso. They're all piling up on Gattuso because
Oh, really?
we all know. As I mentioned, this is to save Gattuso's job. Well, we say that. This was the insinuation in Italy. They lost that game against Atalanta in midweek in the Coppa Italia semi-final. They've won this game now, so maybe Gattuso gets more time. Which is, and you could tell the players are playing for him. They jumped on him at the end, so this is good.
It's a big win.
Yeah, it's a big win. It's a
Napoli.
massive win. Massive win.
A big win for Napoli over Juventus, and of course, Seb will be doing Lazio tomorrow night. Am I right for the watch along
Against Inter.
against Inter? So that'll be on at 7:45, I believe, tomorrow night on the Let's Talk Sport channel. Of course, there's also another one that's advertised on our screen right now, which is Wolfsburg versus Mönchengladbach at 5 o'clock tomorrow. Not because me and Seb like Mönchengladbach or anything like that. No, of course not. We'll be very neutral when watching this game. Not playing dub when they score each time or anything like that.
Very
But,
objective.
yeah, let's talk Mönchengladbach. Let's talk sport. So yeah. So of course, AC Milan top, Inter Milan second, Juventus third, Napoli fourth, Roma fifth, and Lazio sixth, and Atalanta seventh. Oh, it looks so strong up there in Serie A for a change. It's very interesting to see. and Parma in the relegation zone at the moment, which Parma is, when I was growing up, Parma were the biggest clubs in Italy, so it's quite sad to see that happening.
It's been coming. It's been coming for a little while now, Parma. I wouldn't say relegation, but they've been dropping, and it shows a lot of how Kulusevski was important to that team last season. So yeah, they've been pushing their luck, I'd say.
And of course, Man City winning, which means they're closer to the title. Am I happy? A clue? No. Anyway, we'll go back to the Sunday games. And of course, the next one we'll talk about is West Bromwich Albion versus Manchester United. Now, Jack, as a United fan, I should be confident because it's West Brom and it's Big Sam. But United are known for fucking up. We saw what happened last weekend against Everton. They pretty much won the game until Twanzebe made that tackle. The free kick was taken, and then Maguire played them all onside. Great money.
Actually, that page, I know Dan keeps liking it as well, but that Harry Maguire pointing at things is absolutely brilliant. So, yeah. Harry Maguire just like going like that, and like.
I'm sure he hasn't fully learned what the offside rule is yet.
God.
I couldn't believe it when I saw the replay.
I'd love to see.
In the summer.
I'd love to see a match where Harry Maguire comes up against Morata. Who can get the other offside and who can stay onside? It'd be a great contest.
Just throw Tammy in the mix as well.
Morata's like, I thought I was offside. I was convinced, and Maguire's like, nah, I did you a favour, mate.
Yeah, it was an annoying result. I felt like a defeat that game, but Jack, pressure's on United, I guess, if the tie race is still existent. I don't know if it really is, but pressure's on them to get a result tomorrow against a team that need points to stay up.
Yeah, are you home or away in that?
Away.
Oof. I mean, I don't know if that'll make much of a difference. To be honest.
No fans.
I think even Big Sam can't save West Brom, to be honest, as much as everyone says he comes in to save teams.
The task is too big for him.
Yeah.
I think he's done worse than Bilic.
Well,
I
think you're right.
I don't get it. I still don't get the Slaven Bilic sacking. I really don't. But yeah, this game should be. You'd think it'd be one-sided, but United either turn up or they don't.
Oh yeah, I mean you're right. I mean, look, I've swapped a few United players out. If I'm going off just fantasy, the only player I can rely on truly is Bruno Fernandes.
Oh yeah, easily.
He's literally the only one in your team. I know you're saying how well Luke Shaw's played this season. I somehow disagree a little bit, but I'll let you have that one. But
we actually had his brother on earlier, Harry Shaw, in our live chat page.
Oh really?
Yeah, I don't know if he was, but he might be. I mean, technically, I'm related to Alphonso Davies, so there you go.
Oh right, okay. There's actually a Jack Price that used to play for Wolves as well.
Oh, yeah, I remember that
deadline day.
Yeah.
I said, right, see you guys, I'm off to Wolves.
And I still didn't get my signed shirt.
Oh, brilliant! But look, I think obviously it is United's to lose tomorrow. I think West Brom are basically in that point where they know they're sort of going down, obviously. So I think it's just about making face a little bit in terms of how they finish the season. But I think if United actually want to compete, then it should be a United win. I think Cavani actually playing quite well recently. I think he obviously scored against Everton last week as well. So I think it's United have the capabilities to win that game clearly, but it's whether they can get past the Big Sam wall, as it were.
Yeah, Dan, it really has become a big task for Big Sam because it just doesn't look like they're going to stay up. And Sam Allardyce has that reputation of keeping teams up, but this time it just doesn't look likely, does it?
Absolutely not. I'm not sure what brick wall you're referring to, Jack, because I quite clearly haven't seen that. It's integrated as it's gone along this West Brom side.
They didn't put the cement in properly. It sort of disappeared now. The bricks are just falling
It's a
off.
drywall.
It's gone off its use by date, and that's what Big Sam passed it. Yeah, he can't save that team. West Brom are down for me. They're not good enough. They're a glorified Championship side, and they've only probably got a couple of players that you'd probably take out of that side to go. They're actually not bad players.
Ivanovic.
I mean, the fact that they got him in says it all. They are.
How Robson Carno up front.
They are scraping the
What a
bottom.
turn!
What a goal!
They're scraping the bottom of the barrel, West Brom, and I can't see any way past United tomorrow. I just think, as much as you said that United are known for screwing up. I just can't see how they get beat tomorrow. I just think that they're playing too. I think Rashford's always going to be a threat. Cavani, as Jack mentioned, has started to hit a little bit of form in the past couple of weeks.
Oh, yes.
Bruno Fernandes is obviously going to be that playmaker and the goal scorer if needed. Plenty of options for United. And I can't see any way that West Brom get anything from the game. I think it could be a win to 0.
You mentioned the options as well. I mean, United have not really had an injury list this season compared to other clubs like Man City with their front line, including De Bruyne, Liverpool with their defensive issues. United have been up there nearabouts, haven't they, since they lost to that Arsenal game in October, and they've picked themselves up. But do you think really for Solskjaer, I mean, okay, it's only his second full season, but really, do you think United might have missed the boat this season for the league title? Because, I mean, Man City's form has been incredible, but United have had the team to do it, but they haven't, have they?
Under Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, you never had the ticket to get onto the boat, Jamie. That's the problem.
Ooh, big words there.
Ole Gunnar Solskjaer should not be in that job. He's not qualified enough for me. He shouldn't be anywhere near it. The only reason he got that job is because his name's Ole Gunnar Solskjaer and he plays for the
I agree with that, but I think he's done a good job.
But then, exactly. You can't take away credit. I mean, he's second at the moment, or third, behind Leicester. When will someone be qualified enough? There's technically no qualification except for a UEFA Pro license, which he does have. So that's the only qualification that can deem you qualified enough. So,
I love how you've gone into that.
So, but what does qualified enough mean? That he's not. There are a lot more competent candidates. Okay, maybe.
I played the video game.
What's he got on his CV? Relegated Cardiff, didn't do anything with Mulder.
Whoa, he won the league with Mulder after they were near the relegation zone.
I could probably win the league with Mulder.
Whoa, hang on. He did save Mulder from getting relegated and then won the league.
They shouldn't be getting relegated somewhere. They shouldn't be getting relegated though, should they?
Yeah, but hang on. He saved them from getting relegated and then won the league. It wasn't him that nearly got them relegated.
Yeah, but they shouldn't be in that situation anyway, that football club.
Was it? Yeah, but my point is that Ole Gunnar Solskjaer guided them through and got them the league.
So let me just ask: Is
just because Klopp shit
was Zidane qualified enough? Was Guardiola when he took over Barcelona qualified enough? Was the list could go on and on. Was Luis Enrique qualified enough when he took over Barcelona? And these are one of the managers that have won a lot of Champions League between them in the last 10 years. So I don't know. I get the point that he's probably not the best candidate for the job, but to say he's not qualified who really is?
I think after the fact that Mourinho and Van Gaal it didn't really work out for them, I think that's when United have gone down this route.
The most qualified of the last United managers, so that didn't work.
He's done the best job since Fergie left.
Yeah, exactly.
That's why.
He didn't give Moisey time.
Yeah.
How many times does Moisey mention it as well?
Give it Giggsy to the end of the season.
I think Giggsy did a better job than Moyes did in the 4 games he was playing manager.
Moyes was playing manager?
No, oh yeah, good point.
Centre half.
Can you imagine a zombie on the pitch? Oh, sorry, Moyes.
Minute corner. Get him on, boys. Get him on.
I love 442's character of David Moyes.
just the fact that he looks like a zombie, it's great. I love it.
It's just something about Solskjaer for me. I just can't take to him being in that job. I don't know what it is. I just don't like it.
Sounds like jealousy there.
Yeah, he's got Big Brendan. He doesn't need that.
I don't know where that jealousy would be, considering where we're sitting at the minute.
No, I mean that you're not in the job. I'm saying.
Oh no! Oh, I'd snap your hand off for the job, but I'm not qualified. Don't worry about it. No, I can't take to him in the job. I can't. I don't know how to describe it. I just can't take to him in that job, and I don't think United will get anywhere under him. I think
my main problem with United at the moment is we're getting there, but we're not clinical, and I think that's where at some point it's not good enough. Once or twice maybe, but
you're miles behind City, and you're miles.
Oh yeah.
And to an extent, you're probably behind us. So you're on a par at the minute with 4th. So to have a say of the title, I think is a long shot, and I think it's a long shot for anybody at the minute. Because like we've all sort of said, I think we think that City will probably win with it. I can't see United getting anywhere near the title under Solskjaer. I can't see it. But tomorrow's game, they'll batter West Brom.
Good ending.
Just to bring it all back around.
Let's go through our predictions then. Joe, what are you going to go for?
I think United will win it easy. Maybe 2-3-0, something like that.
Oh, blimey,
Definitely get goals,
that is generous, because I always worry that we don't get the goals
Nah,
sometimes.
West Brom are awful. Except from the managed to get a point at Anfield, but that's
Well, that's how bad they are. That's how bad they are. They can only get a point at Anfield.
In all fairness, we lost to Sheffield United, so I can't really say anything.
Sheffield United are decent. They shouldn't be last. West Brom should be last.
Yeah.
I think West Brom will lose 4-0 tomorrow, and I even think Martial might get a goal.
No, that's
Did you just say that, Seb?
Yo,
Did you just say that?
whoa.
Can I put my hands up right now and say to Seb that me and Seb pretty much have our own group chat where we just slate Martial every time he makes a mistake?
No, not even that.
More chance of scoring than Martial, to be honest.
I think that clause in his contract looks funny and funnier. Yeah, the Ballon d'Or clause.
Oh my God, Louis Van Gaal, you dick!
Next Henri one or something apparently.
He's got those. He's got those characteristics.
He doesn't even know what sport he played. That's the problem.
He's got those characteristics like Henri. It's just that he's worse than Henri. I mean, he's just bad at decision making. He's so good at running with the ball sometimes. But then you think, okay, Marcel, now's the time to shoot, and he'll pass it, and then vice versa. His decision making is poor, and his work rate is so low as well. When you've got to make movement for front players, I don't know when, he just doesn't do it. No. It's so frustrating to see, because you want to see a striker move and trying to create chances for himself. Martial is just hoping they're presented to him on a plate.
It's one you're watching players with the experience like Edison Cavani, and when you look at it and you think, Christ, if we just learn a little bit off somebody like that when you're looking at Anthony Martial, because you just look at the experience that he's in the right place at the right time, he's making them perfect runs, and it's just the experience that Cavani's been able to have to get them, even though sometimes they're tapping goals. Like I say, he's in the right place. And it's like Martial with his work ethic sometimes. You're just like, come on, just a bit more. Give me more.
It's interesting what you're saying, Jack, because Seb and I were mentioning this earlier with Erling Haaland. He scored today because he visioned if it came off a rebound, he'd be in the right place, right place, right time, and he scored.
It was a back pass, but it was a bad back pass. But that other one, the one that was disallowed. I mean, but even the back pass, he's in the right place. He gets in between the two centre backs, and he's just waiting for that chance to come. I mean, Hoffenheim do give him the chance, but he's still waiting and getting in the right places. And then in that disallowed goal, he's making the runs at the right time. Okay, the person who makes the pass to Haaland, or if you want to call it that, is offside. But yeah, he's just still getting in those positions. Martial doesn't do that.
For anyone who signs Haaland this summer is an absolute bargain, regardless of how much he is. Anyway, we'll ask Jack for your prediction. I think this is the last one from Jack.
2-0. Dan, have you done yours? I think 2-0 United.
No, 4-1. Oh shit! United are going to lose 4-1.
4-1 West Brom.
Semi Ajayi getting on the score sheet because he scored against City, he scored against Liverpool.
And he scored twice against Tottenham, but offside.
Oh no! Brilliant. The next other game at the moment is, now this is an interesting one, Seb. Wolverhampton Wanderers, because they are away to Southampton. They played in the Cup in midweek, these two teams, and Southampton won the game, and it kind of sums up Wolves' season. It's not going well whatsoever. They're in the bottom half of the table under Nuno, which, his job must be under some pressure at the moment, Seb.
Yeah, I think it is now. I think I mentioned to you the other day that it almost just seems like Nuno's run out of ideas. It's almost worrying, because Nuno was someone who, he had a tactic, a plan A and a plan B, and then when plan A didn't work, he went to plan B, and it usually did bring out some sort of efficiency. Wolves just look lost, and the thing that he's trying to go for recently is, I think, 4 at the back. If I've seen most of their matches, and none of them can seem to play that system. He's trying to get more up front, but then his forward players aren't being productive enough. It's looking like he's running out a lot of ideas, and I think it's getting worse and worse every year for Nuno. So I think his job will come under some pressure soon. And I think Southampton actually might get themselves back into a good rhythm by probably beating Wolves. I mean, they're not great at home, but I think they'll beat them anyway.
Of course, Joe, your Liverpool loanee of Minamino is available tomorrow for Southampton, which he scored on his debut, am I right?
Yeah. Good goal as well.
Good goal,
Should bring him back, Joe. We call him already.
We call it.
That's the beauty of loan deals, Jack. If you want them, if they had me out, then they brought me back in.
Jesus Christ.
But of course, Joe, for Minamino and for Southampton, Southampton are your feeder club. That's where your academy comes from. So for Minamino to go there must have felt a bit of a step down, but for him, it's doing him wonders already.
Yeah, well, he's only played a couple of games for. I don't know when he played in the week. Did he in the FA Cup? I think
No,
he was cut tied. Yes.
Yeah.
He played against the Villa kids and looked so out of his depth. But yeah, he played quite well last week. I only watched the highlights of the Newcastle Southampton game, but he looked like he was quite promising for them, getting into good areas. Liverpool sent him out on loan because he's not going to get much game time at the club this season, and because Klopp's reasoning was that he's not tall enough to defend corners.
Great.
That's it. So.
Well, he's never going to grow into that, is he?
No. And as someone that's 5'7" myself,
out,
I can't really judge. I can't really judge defensively. As Dan can see from my time at work when we played for the uni together, I wasn't very good defensively, was I, Dan? And I wasn't that good going forward. But
I'll say nothing.
I think you've just said the words without Dan needing to say it, I think, Joe.
I had to back him up at right back. Put it that way.
Oh, no. Oh, bless.
I can't defend. But yeah, I think he'll be good at Southampton. He'll get game time, get minutes. I think he's worked with Hasenhuttl before, so that's good.
Another Klopp.
As you know, I'm a big fan of Danny Ings, and I think he'll score again at the weekend.
Danny Ings, yeah, he's on form, and he's been a fantastic player at Southampton.
Why did we let him go?
I know, well, yeah, it's looking like that. It's easy to look back, though, isn't it?
Look back in anger.
Look back in anger. Dan, Southampton, I mean, they're such a. I mean, I quite like Southampton. They always have interesting players from their academy, and obviously have an interesting squad. Their season's always up and down, but this is a 6-pointer between the two teams because Southampton are 2 points ahead of Wolves in the table, which I think Southampton fans would not believe at the start of the season.
I think they're a good side, Southampton, as much as they do like a 9-0 thrashing every season.
Me and Dan have something in common as Leicester and United fans.
And I hate that, by the way. Just let us have our moment, will you?
I know. But we've done it twice. One against Ipswich as well.
Yeah. Southampton, for me, I really like Southampton. I like the way they play football. I think they've got a good coach there. And I think he started to, forgetting the United game, put that aside.
Absolutely.
Play for kids. I think at a full strength, Southampton beats anyone in the league, and I think they're very much in with the shout of the Europa League when they're at full strength and they start to hit the ground running. Wolves, I think I agree with Seb, but I also think that Nuno, if Wolves don't win tomorrow, the questions start getting asked sooner rather than later. I think whether you can get to the end of the season and not be in touching distance of Europa League football, again, that's where Wolves need to be. And I don't think they realise how much they miss Jimenez. I think the moment you took him out of the team, there's a massive hole up front. You can play Adama, you can play Podence, Neto. Decent players, but they're not focal points in that team. They're not somebody that you can go up. If things aren't working, you can play route one to Jimenez and bring other people into it and do something a little bit different to get back into games if they are losing. Without that striker up top, they brought in William Jose, decent player, but again, is he going to be that Jimenez target? Probably not. He plays slightly differently to him. Not a target man, more of an impact player. I like Wolves, but I think there's going to be questions asked, and I agree with Seb in that sense that Nuno's position starts to become untenable if they don't win tomorrow and then don't beat Leeds in the next game.
I'm just going to add as well to that let's not forget, okay, Jimenez is a big miss, that's fine. But at the beginning of the season, before Jimenez signed this contract extension, he was earning about £20,000 a week. Now, Fabio Silva, this new signing that cost him a considerable amount of money, he's on £86,000 a week. Now, I get that we need to give him time because he's a young player, but when you're earning that amount of money, I think you have to start expecting something at some point. And yeah, I think Nuno spent enough money to justify questions being raised over his head, because I mean, Semedo also cost him quite a bit of money as well, so we can't forget that he's got decent players in there, and I think he's not doing good enough. If you take Neto and Podence, I think they're both wingers who could do really well in top 6 clubs. That's how good I think they are. But Wolves are still down there near the bottom half. So I think that this is all down to Nuno now. If he can get better results, if he can't, then you can only ask questions of his job. Sorry.
Interesting. What score predictions have we got then? Let's start off with you, Seb.
I think it's going to be one of those weird 2-1 to Southampton or something like that.
So, another win for Southampton over Wolves. Jack?
I'm going to say it's going to be one of them ones where they both play a bit rubbish tomorrow, so I'm going to say 2-2. Although, I say rubbish because they're still going to score 2 goals each, but I still feel like neither of them are going to be good enough to get the win.
It's probably going to be 9-0 Wolves. Dan?
2-0 Saints, and I think questions start to get raised about Nuno's future tomorrow.
Nuno in trouble, probably. Joe?
Yeah, I agree with Seb. Mine was going for 2-1. I do think Wolves have got a goal in them, but defensively they've not been good enough. So with Ings on form, like I said, it's going to be 2-1.
So everyone going for Southampton, it seems. I'm going to go for a 1-1 draw.
Let's go for a 2-2 Southampton.
Aren't you boring, Jamie?
Southampton win with 2-2.
Yeah,
I'd like to see 9-0 again.
So the last time Wolves beat Southampton, which was 3-2, Jimenez got 2 of the goals, so we can just say that Jimenez is a big miss tomorrow.
Okay, final game tomorrow, which is the last one of the day. Everton up against Fulham. Everton, well, I mean, they were certainly the meme of the week of Carlo Ancelotti and his cup of tea. Oh, just before we talk about that, it's full time at the Etihad. Sorry, Etihad. Joe, what's happened?
I'll tell you what, it was the loudest I've heard the stadium in ages. Yeah, full-time whistle gone at the Etihad. Manchester City 3, Tottenham 0. Obviously, Ilkay Gundogan with the 2 goals. The unfortunate news for City fans and the likes of Jack, Seb and everyone that's got him in the fantasy football is he did go off injured shortly after scoring his second with a groin problem, and they replaced him with Ferran Torres. But it's a game that City won at a counter. Spurs had a couple of opportunities, but they weren't really full opportunities. They were more half efforts apart from their Gareth Bale. One way took it past a couple of players and rifled one towards goal, saved easily by Edison in the end though. But I think it's just an easy win for Manchester City, and like I said, they're going to win this league at a canter this season.
Spurs look rubbish. Like, I know I'm a Chelsea fan, so that's going to come obvious to me. But they just look like they've got nothing. Bale, to be honest, looked like their best player when he came on.
Yeah,
I know what Joe thought, but the
highlight is Bale's PGA Tour season right now in this Tottenham team.
Bale looked good though there. He looked good there. Yeah.
Dele Alli came on, did nothing. Did anyone else come on? I don't know. But
they brought on Sissoko for more at half time, which was a bit of a bizarre one.
That's one way to win a game, isn't it? Bring on Messi.
Who had one good game at the Euros.
He looks furious though, Mourinho. And I know like people are saying about his tactical decisions and the way he's been playing recently, but Mourinho won't be happy with a 3-0 loss. I know it's Man City and I know they're on form, but and like Dan mentioned, that second goal was absolutely atrocious. As somebody that likes to defend well and then attack later in Mourinho styles, he will be absolutely livid with that, the way that they've defended tonight. So, yeah, it'll be interesting to be in that dressing room now.
So Mourinho, who's the master at defending, has conceded 7 goals in his last 2 games. The 4 against Everton and 3 against City tonight. So,
he's done.
He's lost his spark. When they were first near the beginning of the season, I was thinking, I'm not convinced still by Mourinho because it's a bit of a weird season. Yeah, exactly. It's a long season. And now I think it's all just coming to fruition again that Mourinho could be toxic, and then as soon as he's toxic, these players are not up for it. And let's be honest, Spurs didn't look up for it tonight. It wasn't even a question of tactics. They just didn't look up for it.
So it's ended there. Man City 3, Spurs 0. Anyway, we'll just talk about the last game as mentioned. So Everton versus Fulham. Jack, Carlo Ancelotti, cool as a cucumber at the Goodison Park the other night against Spurs. Did you see his cup of tea moment?
Yeah, he's an absolute legend. There's no doubt about it. Carlo Ancelotti is the Don.
I want to know if it was a hot chockey though. People keep saying it was tea, but
it was a cup of tea. He said it yesterday. Yeah, it was a cup of tea. He said he didn't celebrate because 1, it was a cup of tea, and 2, there was all them offsides calls. so he wasn't sure whether the goal stood as well. So he thought, I'll just keep it cool. I'll just keep.
He would have had that. He would have had that face if he got it right. Everyone else would have just gone, "Oh no," and he would have just done that smile.
Spilt his tea. It's a waste of time then, isn't it?
But what are your thoughts on this one? Because Everton at home to Fulham. Fulham, I don't think they're that bad. I think they've done all right, but they look like they're going to go down. But they're just two sides who can be inconsistent. You don't know what to get from them again.
Yeah, well, I've mentioned Fulham a couple of weeks ago, and I said that I thought that they've started playing better in the second half of the season, but they've sort of killed their chances with the way they played in the first half. And it's an uphill struggle to even consider getting out of that bottom three now. So, they still are, the way they play and the way that Scott Parker sort of structured them in this second half of the season is they are playing better and they are performing better. But, when you look at that gap, it's 10 points now as they're bringing the table up to Newcastle. I know Fulham have got that game in hand now, but it's still, quite a big leap. In terms of Everton, it's dependent really on if Calvert-Lewin starts as well, because again he's hitting
injured.
Form.
Yeah, he's injured for this game as well.
Yeah, is he fully injured though, or is he on the bench?
They'll be without him. Yeah, minor hamstring apparently.
Great. Well, good job by bench boost then. Yeah. So I think James Rodriguez scored a really good goal against you the other night as well.
Get out.
What? It was a good goal. You can't tell me to get out when it was a good goal.
There's no Colombia goal from the World Cup. Just saying.
But I think as much as I like the Fulham and I do like Scott Parker, I feel like Everton will probably win the game 3-1. I think at the end of it.
What are you going for, Joe?
Yeah, Everton win. It'd be an Everton win against Fulham, even without Calvert-Lewin, because to be honest, I don't think Fulham are good enough. They should stay up, but I don't think they're good enough to win the game against Everton, unfortunately.
Well, you think Fulham will stay up?
Yeah, I do think Fulham will stay up this season.
Really? They're 10 points behind.
Okay, maybe not then. Proves I wasn't really listening to what was being said.
In all fairness, Joe, they do have a game in hand over Newcastle, so maybe, if there's any chance.
We should have just left him at that.
It just prove I wasn't listening to what Jack said, no offence to you, which because I was drawn to the TV at first and then pulled back. So, maybe they will go down then. Sorry, Jack.
What you go for, Dan?
I'm going to go with a Fulham win.
Ooh.
I think Fulham, as we mentioned, are one of those teams that are so inconsistent, but they've started to play a lot better, is what Jack was saying, that they've started to come good. And the teams at the bottom, you'd argue that they're playing the best football out of probably the bottom 6 or the bottom 7. They're just not picking results up. So everything is there for them to pick up a result, and it's going to be against a team like Everton that like to control the ball. But without Calvert-Lewin, that is a big miss. Yes, they've got Richarlison and other players, but Calvert-Lewin has been the focal point for Everton this year. Take him out of the game, is one less person to deal with. So from a Fulham point of view, mentally, that's going to be a massive benefit for them. Ademola Lookman, for me, probably goes back to haunt his former club, and they come out with a 2-1 win.
Oh, I'm looking forward to that if that's the case. Lookman, of course. I mean, that's what I've liked about Fulham, though. There's spirit there, isn't there, under Scott Parker? There's definitely something there. And what annoyed me was at the start of the season, and I've got a friend of mine called James who's a Fulham fan, and media were saying, have Fulham gone up too soon? And I'm thinking, hang on. If the chance is there, you're gonna take it. If you're gonna try and win it in the playoff final, and they deserve the win in that playoff final.
To say, really, isn't it?
I know. I mean, okay, yes, hindsight's a beautiful thing, but you're gonna take it. It's like if you get to the Champions League final, they got there too soon. Oh, fuck off. It's Champions League football, for God's sake. But anyway, we'll stop that. But yeah, it should be an interesting game. I like Dan's prediction. Have I asked for yours, Seb?
No, you haven't. I'm just gonna make a few points. Everton, it'd be weird to say that in the last 10 games, they've lost 2 matches and they've come against West Ham and Newcastle. So Everton are really unpredictable. They lose the matches they shouldn't and they win the ones that they shouldn't. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
but Fulham in the Premier League, the last 11 games in the Premier League, they've drawn 8 of them. They've lost the 3 others against Man City, Man United, etc. I can't remember the third team. It's a weird one. Fulham shouldn't be in the Premier League if you look at that squad. That squad is not Premier League quality. Even Loftus-Cheek, I'm not convinced is a Premier League quality player. Lookman, yes. But the rest?
Jack's face.
But
Jack's beard just came alive.
Shit, you could see the rage.
They've literally gone up.
I don't care. I'm seeing Loftus-Cheek, and I think Fulham should be very let down by Loftus-Cheek's performances this season. And they've also missed Kearney. Kearney's missed quite a lot of games. Let's not forget he's been one of their key players, and he was the one who made it so close when they played against each other early in the season. And Everton just about won 3-2. I don't know what to expect from this game. I've got no idea whatsoever. Fulham, I think, are playing decent football, but they're too far behind now. So, is it really that bad? I think Parker's doing a decent job. I just still think they should be relegated no matter what because that squad is not good enough.
Joe
But then, Everton, you never know. So I'm going to say that Fulham will just win this one in a silly way with I don't know, 2-0, and you just don't see it coming. It'd be great if Mitrovic just got 2 goals and proved he can finally do it in the Premier League, but I don't think that's going to happen. And Fulham usually concede when it's a bit messy in the box, so that's why Calvert-Lewin being missing tomorrow is going to be a big boost for them. So yeah, I see a Fulham win 2-0. I just see Everton not finding a way around it.
Oh, interesting predictions. I think that's been our most exciting and bit of a mixed reaction ahead of that game. So
just saying it because Jack's got Calvert-Lewin in his fantasy football team, and if he does play, then I don't know. I don't know. He is gone apparently. He is not playing apparently.
Games this weekend.
Just before we wrap up, Union Berlin have just finished goalless with Schalke, so that's actually a vital point for Schalke in the Bundesliga table if they are to somehow stay up this season.
Yeah, 1 point. They're still 5 points behind 17th placed Mainz. I mean,
I know. Mainz.
Let's just say that
got a good draw of Bayer today.
Let's just say that this day in the Bundesliga, considering that all 5 matches ended in a draw, this day in the Bundesliga has been completely redundant and useless.
I know. Imagine if you got accumulated for getting all 5 as draws. As Dan will know, that would have probably been pretty good. I remember back at uni, Dan, the days of you doing 50p accumulators, which actually inspired me to do 50p accumulators. Then I threw my phone into the river.
They've now gone up to £5-6 accumulators. So we
have they?
Yeah.
You can tell he's earning now, can't you?
The dollars.
That's why he's got a city view. Look at that balcony. I mean.
Stop it.
How many accumulators have you won, Dan? I've never won an accumulator.
My record's been poor this year.
Oh, is it?
I've actually won an accumulator where I put a franc on and I won 470, which I thought wasn't bad. I got all the Champions League matches right in one night.
Everyone watching, please bet responsibly.
I mean, that's if you. That's the yeah.
We did drinking earlier.
No. It's just like The Simpsons. It's like drink Duff responsibly. Drink Duff responsibly. Actually, just before we wrap up, Dan, I mentioned the Super Bowl. We'd quickly talk about that. In our WhatsApp chat. Of course, we had a preview on the channel, and obviously it's been nearly a week since the big game back in Tampa Bay, and it's fair to say Tom Brady has drank everything that's been thrown at him throughout the week. Do you blame him? Of course not. You've got to celebrate your 7th Super Bowl ring. Dan, what are your thoughts on that game? Because I honestly thought the contest would be a little bit closer, but really the Tampa Bay Buccaneers absolutely nailed it.
Yeah, we all thought that Kansas City would probably win the game, and whether it be a blowout, probably not, because the Bucs defense is class. Devin White had a fantastic game in that Super Bowl. I thought he was outstanding. But I thought the whole of the Bucs defense, and Todd Bowles, the defensive coordinator, got it absolutely spot on. Brought pressure on the edge to Mahomes, showed him different looks, got him confused. And I was saying to you off air, and sort of said to you on the previous show that we did on it, that the way to beat Mahomes is to give him different looks. Don't let him get settled, because the moment he gets settled is the moment that Tyreek Hill gets settled. And
he never did.
And he never did. Not once in that Super Bowl game did Patrick Mahomes look confident in the pocket. And the reason for that is because his offensive line were awful. And he had to take 5 or 6 steps further back than he'd normally want to, which invites further pressure. So if you're going to send a blitz, you get him and Mahomes just doesn't trust his offensive line. And
how many
in the trenches?
And how many times did Mahomes have to do the run himself just to get to the get the first down?
He did say that Mahomes is good with his legs, and he would create things like that to keep the plays going and to move the sticks as such. But again, that Bucs defense just won every battle. He won at the trenches on the offensive line. They won one-on-ones. They won in zone defense. They won in man coverage. Everything about that Bucs defensive performance was outstanding, and I cannot remember the last time that Kansas didn't score more than single digits.
Yeah, only 9 points, wasn't it?
Only 9 points. That's unheard of for that Kansas City offense. They've got so many weapons, and they just didn't turn up. And Tom Brady again. We sort of spoke about Brady, and the way to beat Brady is to bring pressure up the middle. Try and not let him stand in the pocket, because the amount of times that, whenever Brady gets that pressure into him, he just throws and airs a ball and it just gets intercepted. It happened a couple of times in the previous game. They didn't once get any sort of real pressure. I say once, they sacked him once, but they didn't really get any sort of consistent pressure up to Tom Brady. And the amount of times he was able to stand there and find Gronkowski, find Godwin, find Evans, it was a continuous thing, and they never really troubled Brady. He had all the time in the world. And that's where we said the game would be won and lost. It would be how the defenses are going to stand up to the offensive line. Can they bring pressure to the quarterbacks? Can they force errors? And Tampa did that. Rightfully won the game, fully deserved the Super Bowl, and I'm really happy for Bruce Arians. I think he's deserved it this year. One of the best coaches this year, and I'm glad that it's stayed in Tampa. And
I couldn't believe it was the first time ever that a team would actually be hosting a Super Bowl. Despite the fact that it's been going on for 55 years or so, it was the first time ever that a home team had won it. So good to see for the history books. And Tom Brady, you can trust him, Dan, when he throws a trophy from one boat to the other in the celebrations in Tampa Bay. That was brave.
Brilliant.
Oh, it was absolutely class.
It was brilliant to see him win it again. As much as I was bored of the Brady thing, it was actually quite nice seeing him and Gronk do it again.
Yeah.
But also the fact that they did it in a different location, and it wasn't at New England. They brought that success and experience to Tampa. Their home Super Bowl in front of fans, which was fantastic as well. The whole spectacle was brilliant, and I'm glad Tampa came out on top. And it'll be interesting to see how they do next year.
Of course, the other one last thing is there's been the big topic this week is all about that Patriots coach. They've been all going on about Bill. Is it how do you pronounce this? Yeah, there's some people. I don't know. I don't know NFL that well, but some people are starting to question. Was it just Brady all along? Is it really down to the coach back when he was at the Patriots? Because Brady in one season has gone to Tampa Bay, got the weapons he needed. He got Antonio in, he got Gronkowski in, and he's done it. It's crazy.
It's just how it's fallen. I think Tom Brady's been lucky that he's had Bill Belichick as one of the best ever coaches in the game, and then he's moved to Bruce Arians, who's you'd say probably a similar stature.
Oldest coach, isn't it, as well?
Yeah, but his experience. So
just
let Tom Brady do his thing. You know what Tom Brady's all about. You know what Gronkowski brings when he's on a going day. So everything is there for them to go and win it. And lo and behold, their best performance of the whole season happened to be in the most important game. So hats off to Tampa. Kansas will come again. Mahomes wasn't 100% fit anyway, so he'll get an operation post-season on his foot. He'll come back next year. They'll be in with a shout again. For the Kansas, it's a loss, but it's not really because they won it the previous year. They're always going to be there because of the amount of weapons they've got on offense and defense. And it's just one of those things that the better team won on the night.
Absolutely, and of course for Mahomes, young, very, very, very talented. Only 25 as well, I think. So, plenty. If he can keep at it, he'll have a very good career ahead of him. But I will say this now for Patrick Mahomes. Eli Manning, because I'm a New York Giants fan, and Eli Manning beat Tom Brady every time they met at the Super Bowl. So I'm just saying, Eli Manning, absolute legend. He's better than his brother. Anyway, we're going to wrap it up. Jack, you're not going to say anything about the NBA? I know you've been watching that.
Yeah, well, yeah, I'm
Few
back
hoops.
into watching the Chicago Bulls again, but
Is
yeah.
that your team? Is it?
Yeah, I used to have like a basketball set as a kid, and it had all like the Bulls logos on it.
Oh,
But I've
okay.
gone back to Chicago Bulls. I think one of my like work colleagues is a Brooklyn Nets fan, so we've sort of
I've
been
got-
in competition with them as well.
He'll have to have one of my T-shirts. I've got a Brooklyn Nets T-shirt in my cupboard.
Have you?
Not,
Oh,
yeah,
wow.
but that was only because a friend of mine sent me. I don't follow basketball. I've got an Orlando City shirt that he sent me. That's why I'm an Orlando fan.
Wow, he's got Kaka on the back.
No, there's no one on the back. No.
Okay.
I need to get
Big
Nanny
Kaka.
on it. I need to get Nanny.
Nanny, jeez.
Nanny.
Captain.
Of course. What's that?
Captain Nan. He's the
Aye.
captain of them.
And he certainly
Found that
does
weird when I
like
saw
an
it.
old nan as well. So anyway, of course, we're going to wrap up here. Our final whistle show. Many thanks to Joe Stanley, Jack Price, Sebastian True, and Dan Middleton. Great to have him back. We will definitely we'll have to figure out if Dan's free next Saturday. I'll ask him afterwards, unless he tells me right now. You can
Do the
fuck
deal.
off.
We'll do
That's
the deal.
probably what he'll tell me. But anyway, my thanks to the lads. Of course, tomorrow we've got Wolfsburg versus Mönchengladbach watch along, and then we have Lazio versus Inter with Sebastian True, or Sebastian False, as I like to call him. But anyway, my thanks to the lads, and thanks to you lot at home. Thanks for watching. Do subscribe, and we'll see you soon.